Call the Montezuma-Cortez School District RE1 regular board meeting to order. If you could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I hear a motion to set the agenda?
I make a motion to set the agenda for tonight's meeting to 22:22.
I'll second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Call for the question.
Frazier,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noyes,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we do not have a student presentation tonight. I know that we had, Ms. Ramsey had talked to Mr. Pearson, and he would actually like to invite us to an evening event at the middle school. I believe it's on May 10th.
Yep.
And so, Deborah, if you just want to go ahead and get out a notification in case more than 2 board members show up. And thank you, Mr. Pearson.
It's May 10th.
May 10th. So
And
Deborah will have an invite coming out.
And I think Mr. Lehman has something also.
Oh, you did, okay.
Board members, I want to present to you an invitation. It's for Read Across America. One of our RTI specialists, Emily Pearson, puts this on every year. And we are inviting you guys to come and read to the kids.
How nice.
I love this.
And all the teachers dress up in themes. So we all get to pick books and we all get to dress up.
Nice.
Like to know this too.
Thank you. Okay, I forgot to ask if there's any, I don't know, discussion on the agenda. Okay, all righty. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for January 18th, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting, February 8th, 2022 work session minutes, February 11th, 2022 special board meeting minutes, February 15th, 2022 executive session and regular board meeting minutes?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 18th, executive session and regular board meeting, February 8th, work session minutes, February 11th, special board minutes, and February 15th, executive session, regular board minutes.
Second.
Okay. Do we have any discussion or changes or anything on those? Okay.
Did we have a second?
I'll give us Ed.
Ed, you're way down there, Ed.
That's what I had to.
Frazier.
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noyes,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright. Aye. Thank you.
Celebration reports. We have Cindy helped with the wrapped in support report. And probably joined by Nikki Crowley.
I was here and then not here. I was
Okay.
gonna go to Bayfield to watch our varsity boys play basketball, but then decided with the roads that I would stay here. Go this direction with Sydney.
Okay.
Support the meeting last year on the board. Thank you so much for letting us have this opportunity to circle back and share with you the outcomes of one of the projects that you approved in the fall. Partnering with the Award Foundation, we came up with an idea to show some support for all of the MCSD staff. So we had over 400 embroidered blankets that went out, and some of you helped us with that initiative to their locations to present everyone with these blankets so they would know about all the support in the community that is out there for them. In addition, they also received a little coupon for concessions, and anything that hasn't been redeemed up to a certain point, those funds will come back and be distributed among the schools so that they'll have a little fund for end of the year teacher wish list kind of things.
It was really a great program working together. It was, easy to work with the school district to make this happen. It was a lot of fun going, especially to, go to speak with our transportation department and our nutrition services and to really let them know that sometimes those that aren't in the limelight, like our teachers and our paras and things like that, are like, it just takes everybody. It really does. And so I think there was a really nice feel that came as we left the room. There, some of the rooms, there were tears. We, you know, a lot of good stories and things like that. So I just want to reiterate, you guys have some amazing people that are working for you who are passionate about our kids here. And there's just a lot of love within this district for our community. And you've got some great employees. So I just want to celebrate that as well.
Yep.
So
Thank you.
We have just a real quick little slideshow to show you with all of the smiling faces, and I think some of that just really speaks for itself. So thanks again for letting us share. Yep. So you should have told me.
So as you can see, you know, we had mayor came and participated, a lot of different community members, that came and helped out, handing out stuff and things like that. And it was just really neat seeing people from the community, and we appreciate you who were able to come and help hand out as well. It was a really, really great thing. So.
Yes, thank you for
Thank
putting
you.
that together.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, it was. It really was. Do we have any other celebration reports?
I think we got an email from, and she just wanted us to recognize the snowshoeing group that Mrs. Waltman is taking from the middle school on Fridays. And they've gone up to Chicken Creek. Is that where they've gone? And I think they have another one planned this week. I want to thank her for getting those kids involved and doing that.
Yeah.
I know the middle school's fixing to start their spring play next week. And as Nikki said, our boys basketball team is in a pigtail game over in Bayfield tonight. And our girls are hosting Bayfield tonight. Those games are all do or die tonight. So wish them luck. I haven't talked to any other.
Lynette has to.
I did go to the middle school engagement night where they kind of showcased some of their math department, and they had their book fair going on, and then also kind of showcase part of the play that's going to be happening. And so, yeah, that was a really fun night. That was, yeah. So well done on that. Yep. And thank you for having that.
I made it into several buildings this last couple of weeks and also went up to the high school for their Futures Fair and watched the first half or so of that. Went really well, I thought. So glad to see the career stuff going on.
Anybody else?
Can I mention Mr. Park, please?
Yes, I will allow that.
Mr. Parr, I think you need to be recognized for all of the hours you poured into the new curriculum. And you found us some amazing ones to pick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right, staff reports. I'll start with you. HR department, do we want to,
I can start.
okay.
Good evening, board members, principals, and guests. We have provided you with my board report. And I also would like to mention that on the agenda, we had set time for John Corbett, our new broker, to give you an update for USI. However, due to the bad weather, his flight was canceled. He was not able to attend tonight. He does send his sincere apologies and said that he will attempt again on the next board meeting to provide an update. He did send me an email with his updates. However, it's not provided in the board report, so I can go from there.
All right,
Under my board report, I can touch base on several of the areas that I've listed. However, I don't feel the need to go into depth on each. Employee benefits, Montezuma-Cortez School District Area 1 has assigned USI as the broker of record as of February 1st. GORs were signed in conjunction with all carriers throughout the district. District's benefits, I've met with Mountain West Insurance Group, EMBS, Cofinity, American Fidelity, and associate insurance groups to discuss the process of turnover to USI. As a new broker of record, USI has begun the inquiry of all current contracts and have a report. They had a report to prepare to the board today. And with that, they have met and requested plan and claims data and communicated expectations from EMBS, Magellan RX, AccuRisk, Delta Dental, DSP, American Fidelity, and Sun Life. USI has also reviewed all current and outstanding contracts received from respective vendors with the district. EMBS outstanding contracts and plan amendments since 2019. A second meeting has been scheduled to discuss contract irregularities for Thursday, February 24th. They've uncovered pharmacy fee redundancy with Magellan RX, working to renegotiate outstanding contract payment redundant fees. They've also assumed average savings with 800 members at 75 cents per RX fee, average 10 scripts per member. And so they have identified and saved just in our prescription drug cost, $170,000 savings of hidden fees that EMBS was charging the members.
wow,
That's
incredible.
one area.
Just one.
AccuRisk confirm no commissions are being paid and are notifying marketing intent to request renewal. Delta Dental, they have also renegotiated, removing 6% commissions payable to the broker. They've eliminated that from our Delta Dental and asking for commissions offset to improve coverage for preventative care to be raised to 100% covered for members versus 80% where it's at right now, and that's for preventative. Let's see. American Fidelity. That is our supplemental insurance company. We have received notification and information that their rates were doubled. So we are reviewing those rates compared to other supplemental insurance companies to see if we should coverages and provide the supplemental insurance with another carrier with lower rates. Let's see, Sun Life Life Insurance requested all broker commissions be removed, which they have done. We've also requested plan rate guarantee periods to be extended from 8/1/22 to 7/1/23, which it was approved. So they have began construction of the USI Benefits Resource Center, call center for all of our staff. Also, they've began the construction of the USI mobile app for our members. And now they are also preparing a new guides to show USI's contact information. And they're moving right along with all of our changeover and updates. They're also meeting with our workers' comp insurance coverage carrier to review the rates for our workers' comp renewal that's coming up, reducing our experience mod, and then also reviewing any outstanding claims that has been issued. So again, I apologize that they're not here to provide this information in detail. You all have met John Corbett and his part of his team from USI, and he's very impressive, and he lives and breathes all things insurance. So he's much more entertaining in providing this information than I am. So.
No, perfect. And we'd rather have him be safe and meet with us next month.
Right.
Yes. I wanted to also review our liability insurance coverage. I had additional information added to my board report that reviewed SID-SIP's renewal. I just wanted you to take a look at some of the information that it provides. The renewal application is included, so it reviews the additional coverage areas. Let's see, I wanted to also review, the 10-year loss ratio for Montezuma-Cortez School District. The loss ratio reviews our full losses from 2011, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, all the way through 21, 22. And as you can see, that last year we filed a claim for property losses. It was for roof repair. That was the largest claim that we've seen. And with that claim, we'll see an increase in our premiums once we have completed and submitted the application to renew with SID-SIP. I have not completed and submitted this because this is an additional area that USI is reviewing. I want to get both quotes in at the same time. I know that SID-SIP provides coverage for school districts. However, I do want to compare those rates to what would be available under USI, and they are working on that as well. So, also under the loss run value, it breaks it down on forms attached. So there's specific coverage scenario, and then also the vehicle renewal. So that lists all the vehicles, and equipment, and then property that's covered under under our liability insurance. This renewal will take place the 1st of March. So we have about a week left to review. Once that is completed and Kyle and Jim review it with me, then we will move forward and provide the information to the board on what the renewal rates will be. Do you have any questions in regards to insurance coverage? Moving on, an update on our community partnership with the Department of Workforce Services. They've notified us that their grant will end on March 11th for the additional COVID janitorial services that they've been providing. I have reached out to those individuals and offered them the opportunity to apply for openings that we have within the district through several different areas: transportation, maintenance, custodial, and nutrition services, and also within our schools as paraprofessionals and substitutes. The district update that I provided is just additional information in regards to recent changes that we've had in our executive staff with our superintendent and assistant superintendent. And then Jacqueline Hall provided an update for the health department. Lena Galloway provided an update for transportation. And Mr. Ray Lopez provided an update for maintenance. I have asked him to please attend tonight so he could provide his information in regards to the summer project list. If you wouldn't mind if I shared my time with Ray.
Oh, absolutely.
That means you.
Age before beauty. That's what I said, age before beauty.
So
He thought he was talking about beauty.
first item of business in the maintenance department, Ray's administrative assistant left. Ray and I have held interviews for replacement, and we have on the consent calendar a request to promote an individual from within. So I'm really excited about that. She'll be moving up and has already started training, I believe.
A little bit today, yes.
Nice.
Fine.
So this is an employee who's been with the district 15 years, I believe. And she's in the nutrition services where she previously assisted Sandy as her administrative assistant. And then she's also a kitchen manager in middle school. So she'll be being promoted to Ray's administrative
So
assistant.
that went over really well.
So now we're working at replacing this individual with one of the COVID custodians from the community support. Hopefully we did this.
Keep things moving.
Although Ray makes a good secretary.
Nancy.
Okay, so you have your maintenance summer project list for 2022. Want to go over that?
Sure.
Okay.
It's gonna be a busy summer for the school district, as you can tell. We got a lot of big projects going on, so everything got approved. So now it's just a matter of working everything out with the contractors. Our time frame is so short. I'm trying to make it roll to where it's gonna hopefully be done by the new school year. So knock on wood, I hope it does. So we can go over Mesa real quick. The roof, they've already started bringing over the ISO, which is the insulation. They started stacking it on the roof itself Friday. They're gonna bring another 6 truckloads in on this Friday. They're gonna set it because with that company, with all product due to COVID, if you have it on the list, order, you better accept it. So TL out of Durango felt that they better just bring it, otherwise you're gonna get on the waiting list further. So you have to get it as it comes. So that's why we just took it over 50 Mesa. And it's sitting up there, so once everything gets going, we'll start hopefully May 31st. First week of school will be out. Probably gonna take about approximately 8 weeks to do. Hopefully not. It always projects a little bit further on, weather permitting, of course. So while that's going on, I'm trying to work it out to where, I think I'll talk about this a little bit, but anyways, the floor is asbestos based, so it has to be abated before the flooring can be put in. So the contractor doing the asbestos abatement will demo it, get it ready, prep work, and then the flooring company will come in and set the tile that's going in that hallway, I believe it's tile. So
Does that 14 days include from abatement to installation?
14 days is gonna be the flooring.
Just the floor, just to put the floor in there, okay.
Yeah, the abatement's gonna take about, depending on when they start, it has to be a containment abatement. So they have to basically get negative air and do samples after it's all been cleared. That could take up to about 21 days.
Yeah.
So it varies. And talking with one contractor, they could start like the middle of June would be the soonest they could get on, but it's kind of good that we're getting it, because otherwise we'd be pushed further back. So we have to kind of jump on some of the projects awfully quick to get on their list. So, so that's kind of, Mesa is going to be awfully busy. I'm trying to work with the custodians to try to figure out what we're going to do with them while this is going on, so they can still do their cleaning to where it still work. If they can't break it, they can't go into the containment whenever it's set, but they can probably work on classrooms that have outside doors, things like that. All right, Manon, it has a minimal asbestos abatement that needs to be taken care of there. Probably not as many days, but there's a few rooms that are going to be, Manaw's getting, of course, new carpet classrooms. Yep. Sorry. One of the classrooms, I got a lot of projects, but yeah, so I'm trying to work it out to where the abatement company that gets this will, we got to kind of move them around to make it work to where, well, they're working at one building, the carpet can be installed at another building.
Right.
So kind of keep things moving. So, and they're working really well. The contractors are, I mean, they're easy to work with, thank God. They're not like throwing a bit about it, but, and they're, once they come in, it'll get done quick. I don't know if you remember whenever the middle school got done with their classroom carpet, they did it awfully fast. It didn't take them very long, so. So Manon's a little bit busy, you know, with the custodial side of that. Basically, once it's in, they would just have to do a quick cleanup. It's not gonna have to be shampooed or nothing like that, so it saves time. It might just be classroom cleaning, walls, everything else. So in middle school, that's gonna be another big project going on this summer. Roof replacement. It's gonna start as soon as the kids get out of there. And basically that's gonna run into probably 2, maybe 3 months on that project. So it's gonna take a while for them to get that whole roof done. Of course, as you're aware, that's gonna be an insurance claim. So that's why they're coming in and taking care of that part of it. But they're gonna do the whole thing, all area, all the way down.
What was the cost of the claim? The 2 million?
It's about, what was it, 1.5 million? Yeah. Claim on that.
So remember that when we talked about our increase in our interest claim, if it's $30,000 or $40,000, compare that to $1.5 to $2 million. Okay, so that's, and we spoke about that, and that was the reason why we decided to go that route.
And the reason they chose to do the whole thing is to keep it on one warranty claim. So basically, whenever they do the whole thing, there's not gonna be a partial birth here.
Right.
The warranty's gonna run out in 10 years compared to this, is gonna be still another 20 years on it. It's kind of real spotty, that roof is right now, so, and they thought, just to make it right, with the damage that's been taking place with the hailstorms, that's where it all fell underneath it, was that part of it. So they just gonna opt to just do the whole thing. But it'll take some time, so. And then, of course, the demo with the carpet hallway. It's been a lot of square footage over at the middle school. That's a 50-day setup. So what I'm trying to do is, while the asbestos abatement is taking place over at Mesa, the carpet installers can do CMS. And it's hopefully, as soon as they get down to Mesa, they can swing on over and take care of that. And kind of work it out through the 2.5 months that we have for summer. I hope. So the middle school is going to be awfully busy as well. And then one thing we're looking at also, we did get an assessment on what to kind of put in for the HVAC system on the design. So now we need to get an engineer design for the mechanical side of it for the HVAC system. To basically go, there's a few options that we can look at. We haven't really gone into, but it's going to be more into like a heating and cooling setup. Possibly get rid of the boilers, get rid of the water, and more go maybe central air system. But that's all based off what we want compared to what the assessment person, George, indicated on his report as far as what we could put in there. So the assessment, you can almost go by that, and then the engineers can design it off that. That's what it amounts to, which is kind of nice. It's a step-by-step, slow process, but in the long run, I think it'll pay itself off. And this is, we're talking through the admin side, the whole building. It's not just going to be sections. We're pushing for the whole gym being cool. Band room, music room, all those, which they don't have any type of cooling at all right. So
It should take care of the pressure issue where you see the doors just kind of being open if they're not locked. So,
yeah, the middle school, it was done with McKeon Street back in the day, probably 10 years ago. They put in some automated stuff, but they were working with 96 stuff, trying to retrofit everything to a new version. So a lot of the control valves don't even match up to what's really happening. We kind of did a retrofit kit on the water side, boiler side. So it really does need an updated controls and HVAC system. The building's going to be there for a long time, so now's the time to probably do it. So, Beach Street, same thing with that. It never ended up getting any type of cooling in there, but we did also talk with George. He was an engineer out of Denver that we brought down, and he came up with an assessment, gave us a game time to do. So we just have to get an engineer design on it for that, for the HVAC system. Basically, the boilers could probably stay. I think that's what he mentioned, just more of the controls, to have better controls of it. And
more of a control system issue.
yeah, I think a lot of things that we have on the maintenance side is we're kind of shorthanded sometimes. So instead of having to go do physical looks at all these boilers, make sure they're running daily. If we have a control system, we can monitor them from one area and just kind of pull them up and say, okay, everything's running. High school and middle school are like that, but all the elementary schools are not. So it'll kind of save on man hours as far as wasted time just to check a boiler when they could be doing something else.
Have you already been in touch with the engineers, or do you have a timeline for that?
That's the next thing. We're going to work on that, and then we need to set it up to where we can start getting them in here to get a design for that. Transportation, the finally, the radiant heating system got put in January. It's running. How was it?
It's very nice.
Well, it's working.
She's smiling.
So that's done. That was a cap reserve at the time. And I think it'll last another 40 years, I hope. And on the custodial side, basically, custodial supplies stocked at buildings and shop. So if they ever need anything, we can provide it at the shop as well if we have the stuff they need. If not, we'll get it for them. Custodial equipment kept up. We've been trying to phase out the old stuff and starting to bring in the new stuff. Kind of help these custodians out with the more updated machines that are out there instead of working with the stuff that's kind of been out there for 20 years. It needs to be rotated out anyways, I think. The custodial staff, keeping up with every day's task per building. I think we got a really outstanding custodial staff that they do really well at each of their buildings that they're at. Principals can probably say that further from what they got. And then I also, at this time of year, try to go and start reviewing the duties that they need to do during the summer months. Try to see if any additional painting on the exterior needs to be done. Whatever else comes up, I try to get a game plan for them to start working on things or looking to try to set their schedule so they can have an idea of how things will roll during the summer months. And sorry.
Also, just to update the board members, this year, Ray took over the supervision of the custodial staff. In years past, each custodian reported directly to the principal of the campus where they worked. And in providing better coverage, training, and oversight, this year we added 25 additional employees. Yes. And he's doing a great job at it. He's working really well.
And I know Sherry mentioned something about the track field. Actually, they finally got a hold of me and they're going to be here next Thursday at 10.
Next Thursday,
To do an
okay.
assessment on the track. I'm going to assume this is probably the president of Bible World that's going to be here. So I think he's setting up.
Again?
Thursday the 3rd.
Thursday.
So
Okay.
And then, can you please give them an update on the evaluation of Pleasant View and the next date of when it will be reviewed? Just that we have received that and those reports will be provided in a later date. No, not the results from it, but just that it was completed.
yeah, we did bring in an architect, structural engineer, to look at Pleasant View to find out how well the structure's holding up. Because there are some areas on the outside that seem like they're going to start breaking away. We just want to get a professional opinion on it. And he looked at it. His concern is it's starting to, it's settling quite a bit. And I never knew this, but he brought it up that day, is that our conditions are so dry now that the soil is drying out extremely fast, that it's making everything shrink. So the soil's dropping down. Usually you have good moisture in the soil, but it's starting to go down to where it's going to make these cracks even worse. That's his point of view on it somehow. It's kind of true because we have had like pretty bad drought going on around here lately. We don't have the moisture content, especially out there. Pleasant View used to be pretty high, but now it's really low. Just some of his concerns were.
Well, the report will be made available once we receive the completed evaluations from the schools that we requested to have done.
Correct.
I just wanted you to know that we have completed the one at Pleasant View, and now he's scheduled
The NOS next week.
next week.
That's correct.
Once that those have been completed and reports have been submitted, we can provide that information to the board.
Great.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. The HVAC at the middle school and at the Beach Street, are those being paid for out of ESSER funds?
That's the plan.
Awesome. Okay. And I just have, and I didn't realize this until this weekend when we were in the middle school at a basketball tournament and we were helping the Rick clean up. And by the way, those custodians do an awesome job with that little basketball tournament that we had. They came in, provided us with anything we needed. We made the kids help clean up. But my one thing was, as I saw those guys running hand vacuums all over, down there where we were. And I'm like, why don't you have one of those riding ones like the high school has? I mean, they have as much carpet at the.
It's hard to eat my money, man.
That's one of the things that
We can use on
we've
that.
been talking about, and like when he was mentioning replacing the stone.
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, I'm not.
Sure, no,
It's happened in the
yeah.
past, but there's money there to do these things. I just don't think it was communicated to all these people to say,
Right,
hey,
yeah.
you need to buy this.
Yeah, and I'm just advocating for them. I think that it would, those would work better. And it could help save some time for those guys
It would.
because and especially now that we're gonna get new carpet in there, I really would like to see us look at doing something.
Better suction.
Trying to keep Rick.
Keep it cleaner.
You're trying to keep Rick in shape. That's for hunting season.
This is another reason why Ray has took over the custodial, so there's a better awareness of what is needed and the supplies that are being ordered, it's all in one place. MSD sheets and training on chemicals, and then larger purchases like that, he has a better awareness and ability to bring those, purchase requests.
Yeah, and usually what they're needing, so we try to provide what they need, because they're doing the job, and it's like, not their help. So they know what they need. If it's gonna-
And I don't think anybody really does till they're in there and see that. And
Yeah.
I mean, Rick he's running up and down that hallway. We had run it in the concession, but he's like, yeah, this is all we have.
Yeah.
Holy
That's a really
gosh.
good idea.
We do that.
Another little project, Ray, if you could sort of evaluate and see for next fall possibly is, since we're back to using the softball field up at the middle school, is the scoreboard over there?
The scoreboard is there, and we're checking for power, because whenever the light pole went in at the stadium, at the time, we never thought that field would ever be used on some decisions that were made back then.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure there's power, but we have to look into it to get the power back to that.
It may even have to be moved, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you talking about back to the old spot where it used to be?
But yeah, they opened up the softball field last year again.
They wanted to use the scoreboard. But what we did at the high school for the soccer field went battery operated, basically solar panel set up to run it. Couldn't actually provide power out there, so we brought in solar, which works just as well, because they don't really pull a whole lot. And it's something that you can put up and still use whenever you do game days. It's not going to run all the time, just during games. So that might be an option to put at the softball if there's no power.
I don't think they play too many games in the dark, I don't think. so.
Not too many.
Yeah, I'm working on that. One thing I do have a schematics for the foul poles, and it takes a certain, I'm going by the engineer design that they require. So the holes have to be basically 3 foot diameter by put those poles up. Don't want to undercut it because of our wind conditions around here. So I'm going to go with what they recommend. So that way we don't have a potential problem in the future. So,
Don't want them blowing over that light pole.
yeah. I mean, some have suggested going only 2 foot, but I'm a little leery about that just because if we don't and something happens, then we got a problem. So.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next.
Lena's here. She provided her report.
Would you like to go over it, or would you like, if anybody has any questions about it, it has changed. It is federally mandated now, the training that we provide for drivers, entry-level drivers. Before you could do what you thought you did the best you could. CDE had guidelines, there was guidelines. And so what, excuse me, the reasoning for it is if someone, let's say in Alaska is a school bus driver and they've done this training, they could now come to Colorado and we wouldn't have to retrain them again on being a commercial driver. Because right now, or before February 7th, you had to retest for, let's say, the school bus, because that would not follow you because the same training didn't happen in different states. It is quite extensive. This is Steve, he's my driver trainer, and he's been working on this for about 2 years now, because they started it, they stopped it from happening, and then they restarted again. CDE has supplied us with the training, and actually other states are coming to our Susan for this training because of what she has completed.
This is our old training manual that we had. This, we'll still have it because we need to have it at the point in time for
Our training.
This is the new ELDP, entry level driver training. It's PowerPoint slides. I've printed it off, 2 slides per page kind of thing, but it's 700 and some page PowerPoint slides. So just for the entry level driver training.
And this is his
Resource guide.
His resource guide. And so it is a big deal. People could go to a CDL training facility and pay thousands and thousands of dollars, but I don't want to say jump through all the hoops, we jumped all through the hoops. We have made Montezuma-Cortez District a training facility. Steve is a trainer because he had to be certified to do this. So it was a big deal, and it is a big deal, and it's going to be very interesting on the training. It's going to take much longer because not only are we going to train with the what the feds want, but now we're also going to then train what we have here. You can't during they call it theory, that's the classroom, and then the behind the wheel. We've always done that, but not with, let's say, third information. So he's gonna have to go through on each slide and train on each slide. And so, like he said, 700 some odd slides in there is gonna take a lot more of in-classroom training, but they want everybody to be thoroughly trained before they're put out onto the roads. So I was just very proud of Steve and wanted to tell you guys about that. And proud of that we, for our district, we are now in that system and they've accepted us as a training facility.
So what kind of time frame does that take a driver to get through all the training to where they can get licensed?
Well, it depends on the person that's in the training room. If someone can't give 8 hours a day, which Steve can't because he's a driver, so we maybe would do 6 hours of classroom. We may have to throw in some weekends and things like that to get these people through it. It also depends on the driver themselves. What kind of learner are they? That's even right now for the training that we always provided through the district. Our training that we had before through the district was when CDE came down, they applauded us on our training already. And so someone could come in who reads faster or pre-trips quicker, understands the mechanics of a bus, doesn't take so long behind the wheel because they get it. Someone could get through our training in a month. We've had people that have taken 2 months. I'm hoping that this still only takes about that month or the 2 months for the training. So it's nothing fast. You don't just put them like behind the wheel and say, have at it. And then they have to learn how to actually be the bus driver. And that's when they ride with drivers and learn the aspects of actually having kids sitting behind them.
One of the things I see as well is with the new driver training that they have, it's just the federally mandated training is all I could do initially. Once the driver has their commercial driver's license, then I can switch to back to the previous stuff, our policies and our radio etiquette and all that other stuff that we do as part of being a driver trainer. So, but while they're being trained to be a CDL driver, school bus driver, they can only be trained in the required material from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. So,
I mean, it's going to be a process and a little bit long. I say a little bit because we have yet to have anybody come in and do the training. We don't have people applying to be bus drivers. We had 2 people come in and one One could not, here I just have to word this properly, one could not pass one of our requirements. Is that pretty good? And the other one, the other one, oh yeah, I want to do it. And so we start them off with getting their permit over at DMV. And we give them like, a little bit of time, then we call and say, hey, how's it going? No answer. Then we wait like 2 days. Hey, how's it going? On a recorder because they won't answer. And so after like 3 times, we're like, oh, that's that. She doesn't want to work here. So that's where we're very excited about having 2 applicants, but we just didn't.
Are you expecting it to be more difficult to hire?
It's going to be more difficult. I don't know if anything could be more difficult than it already is.
Don't say that, don't say that.
Actually, we are offering the training in-house now, and to become a CDL driver anywhere else, it's a substantial cost. And so for us to provide this training, and it should entice individuals more moving forward, to be able to become trained and to work for us and to obtain those credentials with the school endorsement as well.
Okay, who pays for the training?
We do.
So then when we pay for the training, is there like an obligation on the term?
I would love to say something, Cindy. I would love for that to be something that we look into seriously, because people could possibly use us for the training. So getting a requirement in there, and I know Cindy and I talked about this one time, and if we could really look into that more, I think would be something that would be very beneficial for us to keep them here.
That's pretty standard in a lot of industries to
Training.
do the training. The reason I was asking about the amount of training too is when I was up at the Futures Fair at the high school, and I was talking with Stephen Candelaria up there, and he was talking the same thing, that they're just having a really, really difficult time of hiring drivers. He said they have people that want to drive, but to get their CDL, he said, it's just beyond their reach to try to do that because of the time commitment and everything.
And
So-
they get paid while training, so that should be a plus for someone when they come in, is you're getting paid to learn how to do this. And, but it's always been.
I guess my question would be, when you're talking about your a training transfer, say Dolores or Mancus has somebody that would you train them, and in turn, would we maybe charge them a fee?
They had approached us a while back ago, like a year or two, year and a half, when it first was being talked about. That is something that I'd like to for us to get our feet wet first before we offer it. As far as Natarita has approached and said this would be something, so it is something that I would like for us to look into, is training other districts, because I know that small districts for CDE, they were very concerned for small districts because we wear so many different hats. So now you've got someone that's got to train a boat this big, and then what their district also wants them to know. And so they don't have enough time. It'll be hard for someone like Dove Creek, for Todd to get someone trained up and spend that much time with them. He could pay the, JJ Keller price, but I don't know if that's feasible.
Thank you.
For like myself, Lena sent me, I've had training in Colorado Springs. I've spent many hours on video training with the CDE and in-person training over in Durango and things. So smaller districts could make that much time to become a certified driver trainer that you'd have to be. It's just quite a stretch for real small districts. It's a stretch for us. But.
Okay, thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last bullet that I wanted to touch base on was the increase of FORA requests that we've received as a district. I know that Deb is on number 14, I do believe, as of today.
Oh, I see.
16 as of today. When the board is involved in these, I've been forwarding emails
She received one from me today, but this does take a substantial amount of time and effort. And I do have to commend Deb for her diligence and ability to keep it organized and sorted and followed through, because it's very regulated.
Yes.
We have been working very hard on this.
Thank you, Deb.
And that's all I have. If you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So next we have MCHS Cortez FFA trip request. Katie Meyer.
We had our two other directors.
Oh, sorry.
We have-
Gosh, yep. Sorry.
They weren't on, so.
Sorry, Kyle.
Kyle was on.
Sweet, yeah.
Not getting away with it.
Yours is very long. Very.
Yeah, so good evening, board, community members. In my report, I have 3 items. First one is ESER 3. We talked about it at the work session. We had the survey results come in, and essentially big points, high level points of what came out of it. The most important priority when responding to the learning loss would be additional support staff, after school programs, and have enhanced summer schools. Continuing in-person learning as much as possible, retaining our staff and enhancing district operations to address student needs with the highest ranking when it comes to the most valuable use of funding. And mental health and additional social and emotional resources were the highest priority when it came to looking at social behavior impacts COVID-19. So again, the feedback doesn't specifically direct how we're going to budget the money, but it gives us a roadmap of what the community wants and what their input is and staff input and things like that. So I provided the link to the results if you'd like to see them in more depth, but I also provided them in the board report and the response as well. So anytime we accept new money during the year after January, I have to present a supplemental budget. So once this is put together and we submit it, I'd imagine March you'll probably see the supplemental budget request. And just keep in mind, we're used to seeing this is $9.7 million. So it's going to be quite the supplemental budget request. Next is the calendar, which is an action item. Again, I provided you the results of the survey from both the staff and the community. What I provided you in my board report was as of 2/15, February 15th. I have pulled those today as well. And I will read the percentages from my board report, and they haven't changed. They're within 1% of what this is. So for the 4-day option at 160 student days, total votes was 17 or 9.14% of all votes. 5-day school week was 5.3% or 10 votes. And then the 4-day week at 147 was 85.5%. And this was the staff responses. I believe there were just over 200 staff responses. And then the community responses as of the same date. The 4-day at 160 student days, 89 votes, which was about 15.5% of the overall. 5-day school week, about 23% of the overall, or 131 votes. And then the 4-day school week at 147 student days was 61.5%. So again, both surveys will show that the favorite was the 4-day 147. I provided the results and the responses in my report, as well as the link if you wanted to go poke in and look at them in more specific detail. We'll have more conversation on the calendar later, so I'm not going to go into that. Legislative updates. I mean, nothing too crazy, really. We're looking at having maybe an increase in funding, actually, because counties actually across the state received more local tax than they expected. So then the state had this up, didn't have to give as much state. So then it affects our negative factor and it's not as big. So we're essentially probably going to see a little more money in that regard. So funding is not really going to be an issue for the next couple of years. It looks like you should maintain some kind of increase and gradually see a little bit more money per kid in the next couple of years. And that's our general fund. Some things that are coming out of it are like some READ Act requirements that they're going to throw on administration, but that wouldn't be until 22-23 school year. But other than that, it's looking pretty good as far as not when I say good, it's as good as it is now, we're gonna get better, right? On the overall, we're still kind of median when you look at the nation about how much we get per student, but as far as we're considering on our own history, we're doing pretty good. And then again, a couple of more action items. I have some capital reserve requests and some supplemental budget requests that will have as action items as we go forward. Are there any questions, concerns? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
I've submitted my report. I'm just going to go over a few highlights, not through everything that I have in there, but a couple of the high level things. To Ms. Ward's point, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. We are kind of in our final phase of, or one of our final phases of looking at K-5 curriculum. As you guys are probably aware, we have some displays set up in the gymnasium over here of the different programs that we're looking at. And beginning tomorrow, committee meetings with staff members, and then another committee meeting with community members on Thursday. We'll be kind of formalizing our opinions of these programs and being prepared to submit recommendations to the district accountability committee, and then on to the board as a whole. So that should be coming in the next, well, our next DAC meeting will be in the 1st of March. So that recommendation should be going to the DAC and then to you guys for a vote at the March board meeting. So that's coming up. We are on the cusp of our state testing window that begins here a few weeks into March. Schools are already preparing for that to happen. This year, we are returning to a full slate of testing. Last year, due to some of the complications with COVID, the state applied for a federal waiver and testing was reduced. And basically what it looked like is each grade level didn't have to take nearly as much testing as they do on a normal year. Well, we're back to a normal year. So all grades 3rd through 8th will take CMAS math and CMAS English language arts assessments this year. Grades 5, 8, and 11 will take CMAS science. We are not testing, or the state is not testing for social studies this year, so there are no social studies tests. Likewise, in addition to that, at grades 9 and 10, they will be taking PSAT, and grades 11 will be taking the SAT exam. And that happens mid-April, I believe the 13th. Does that sound right, Mr. Chairman? 13th is the day for that testing. So that's in the assessment world, this is kind of a big time of year for us. It's, you know, everybody's kind of ramping up to get to this place where we find out some information about the things we've been doing. So it's, you know, I don't know if it should be a big deal, but it certainly is to a certain degree. And so what that actually means as well is that with a full slate of testing, we will have a full baseline of information that we haven't had over the last couple of years. And ultimately that will help kind of restart the accountability clock for the state. And then we can talk in further meetings about what that means for us. But we're looking at a transition year for 22, 23 years. So. And the last thing I wanted to touch on with you is this evening's the charter application approval for SLOAS. I know that that's an action item on the list. That application did go through our DAC committee at our last meeting. And I'm happy to report that there was overwhelming support for the continuation or the approval of that application. There are some things, so the process works like this to a certain degree. So you as a board, you approve or deny the application, and then going forward, we put together a contract, and that contract will then, which will contain waivers because, you know, charters are a little different functioning than the traditional schools. So we'll get that that contract together, and that contract will then ultimately be approved by you guys. And then that goes to the state, and the state will do the same. So that's the process for that. But technically, the application probably should have been approved in January. But for various reasons, we're at that place now. But so that's on your slate for action. So that's pretty much what I have to share this evening. If you have any questions for me?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I am assuming that in the fall,
Mhm.
we tested the students to see what they were coming in at.
Well,
A star, maybe?
so in this last fall, we did not have a slate of like standardized tests. We had used our district program assessments, which do provide us some information, but probably not the same type of diagnostic information that a STAR or an NWEA or some other platform would provide. We are in discussions with some vendors about the possibility of reacquiring one of those platforms.
It's just nice for the board to know academically where our students are.
True. And I think that's something that we, as a whole, I can tell, discussions with our administrative team that, our interims are great from the respect that we feel like they help us determine how students are performing against state standards, but it doesn't really provide us growth. It doesn't provide some of those achievement things. We can't really tell where we're at on a national level per se. Not that I'm necessarily overly concerned about national, but like some of those scores that you receive on some of those tests give you an idea of where you are and how you're doing against your peers.
Yeah. It'd be nice to know how much learning loss there has been.
Absolutely.
So we can.
Yeah. So we are engaged in those conversations to possibly reacquire one of those tools that we can use for that very purpose.
And at the beginning of the school year, I'm opening a can of worms here, but we did at one time talk about a K-8 curriculum, and we're now K-5. So is there any hope for us to go into 6-8?
Well, I mean, we can certainly open that discussion. The last directive we felt we had was for K-5 to look at those programs and address that. The one thing about going beyond elementary is technically the state doesn't make recommendations at that point.
Right.
I mean, we're kind of bound by the READ Act, which is kindergarten through third grade. So they don't say, after fifth grade, you guys should be using this. Now, our vendors, most of them are your traditional big publishers that we've seen through the years, McGraw-Hill, et cetera. And they do tend to, create more product than just limited to K-3. So that's why we look at K-5, because they can provide that whole swath. As far as going 6 through 8, that would be another discussion item going forward. And if that's ultimately the direction that we want to go, we can certainly do that. But that's not currently what we're looking at.
Okay. Well, I'm just, if we're looking at new curriculum for K-5, is it going to go hand in hand with 6-8?
Well,
or are we leaving our kids, are we leading them off a cliff?
I would like to think not, because one, we have, good teachers that are doing good work with what we have. The programs that we currently are using certainly are not, well, the currently using, yes, they're aligned, but, if we move into something new, we would have to readdress that if we want to continue with further alignment.
Okay. So that's a discussion we'll have at another time.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Park.
You're welcome.
We've got our principal reports. Do you principals have anything you want to add to maybe your reports, or anybody have any questions for them or comments?
I do have a question real fast. So I've been in the middle school and a little bit in elementary as well. And as in the middle school, they did say that the wit and wisdom was a little bit advanced for our students in a lot of ways. They're having a hard time toning it down for our students. I just had a question as far as purchasing curriculum. Can that be done with ESSER 3 money? Can't be done to address learning loss? No.
No, we need, the district needs to develop their own plan to schedule replacing their curriculum.
Okay.
You don't want to depend on one-time money or supplanting.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we've had some ups and downs in our schools, some resignations, but we also had some celebrations with reading and raising money and things like that. So, okay. Anybody else have anything else?
I do not see Katie Meyer, so I think we can go on to Colin.
Okay, okay, perfect.
You guys ready for me?
Yes, we're ready for you.
Hi, Colin Knoll. I work at the high school and school counselor. I'm coming here today before you guys to request your approval to get the high school ski club restarted. It's something that has been run in the past, I've heard, and for whatever reason, it stopped being run. I think the people who are running it maybe just decided to do that. I've experienced running this club, co-running this club a couple of years back at the middle school with a teacher there. We ran it through Telluride's regional ski program. So I've talked to Mr. Chandler and Ms. Eldridge, and our insurance company would like your guys' approval before we can go ahead with this. And obviously their concern is liability and all that stuff. And so we have a comprehensive risk, release of liability and indemnity agreement that is from Telluride that we've modified to fit our district. I worked with Ms. Eldridge on this. Not sure if it was shared with you guys already. I don't hope I have to read through this thing. It is quite a dry legal document, but it is thorough and comprehensive, and I think it will completely cover us in any unseen circumstances. But so questions, concerns?
I'm just curious, how long we haven't had the ski club at the high school?
Oh, it's been quite some time.
Has it been a while?
Yeah, it is.
5 years.
At least 5 years.
Oh, yeah, it's been closer to like 10 years, yeah.
Wow.
It was there in 07 because I graduated in 07.
Yeah.
It was there
Yeah,
about
it's been 10 years at least. I think what happened with it is they lost interest. We didn't have staff that wanted to sponsor it. It just became more of a, we had maybe 3 or 4 kids that would go. When we had it before, we took 2 busloads of kids up.
Yeah, we got upwards of 30 at the middle school 2 years ago.
3 or 4 pickups full of skis.
Yeah, honestly, you know what, I think, and I don't want to, it's kind of sad. I think it really dropped off the year after we lost the one ski, the sponsor up at Telluride that day. I think it really dropped off after that. We had a sponsor that was there, collapsed of a massive heart attack in front of a lot of students, and it was pretty devastating to the program and to those kids and everyone. I mean, it was a tough time. So I think we kind of lost that at that point in time.
What will it do to our insurance?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's not any less by adding an additional sport. It's as if we're having volleyball or anything else.
Are we looking at possibly 1 bus or 2?
Probably just this year. I've only recruited a small amount of kids because I've been waiting for all this stuff to get approved before I really started pushing it out there. So it's going to be 8 or 10 kids this year probably. So 1 bus, yeah. It would be small, and then hopefully in the future we can grow it. It's being funded through SCYC, so all the transportation costs will be paid through SCYC.
That's really nice to know.
Yeah.
That really helps.
And they have money set aside for scholarships. Like all the 7 kids that have signed up so far, we have the money to completely pay for their passes for 3 trips to Telluride. So I mean, a lot of kids who wouldn't otherwise get to go get to.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is what's it going to cost the kids?
Yeah, and we're gonna in the future, if the numbers get bigger, we're gonna come up with a fair way. I mean, of course, start with the kids in the free and reduced lunch, and then maybe have scholarships for kids who want to express their need, or maybe present that they're a high performing academic student, or make their case and split it up as fairly as we can.
Nice. Okay.
Love it.
All right, yeah, thank you for initiating all this again.
Great. Do I need to like request a vote? I don't know how this works or put an action item down.
We do have an action item on the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay.
And vote for it after.
Any other questions or concerns?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Colin.
All right, okay, so we're gonna move right on to board requests and reports. So first off, I would like to introduce Brad Miller from Miller Farmer Law. And he's just gonna maybe just present a little bit of who they are and where they're at. And we have requested a letter of engagement that we will have as an action item tonight. So thank you for coming.
Hi, team. Brad Miller. Young man, I wish he wouldn't have left. My drive over Wolf Creek reminded me of my days in ski club in Southern California, of all places. But we rolled our VW and got right to the edge of the precipice and went home and had some pancakes at IHOP that day. But ski club's an awesome thing.
Not in the VW.
We rolled it back over and drove it home. It was such a fun thing. So yes, I'm a lawyer, and yes, I'm new to you. Just to give a little bit of background, my mother-in-law was the principal at Monument Academy. She was predecessor to Liz Richard, who was then the principal at Monument Academy before she headed to this fair country. And as you said, the better half of the state. And so I reached out to her in, I don't know, October, November, sometime like that, just to check in on how she's doing. I asked if she was going to the CASB conference. She said no, but Sherry Wright was going to be there and I should meet her. Tim Farmer and I met with Sherry probably for 10 minutes. I mean, we just met you at the conference center there. And that resulted in me showing up to your board meeting on a big day. It was January 15th, I believe, a Saturday morning. We had a very low-key retreat, did some trainings, talked about what lawyers can do and have done. And then I read your newspaper the next week and things are different here. So mea culpa, I don't think I had anything to do with it, but here I am a month later. Thank you for having me. This lady was exactly right. Jim Parr is a gentleman. He let me in the back door very nicely. Kyle and Cindy and Jim look like really, really capable executives. You got a good team here. I looked them up. I kind of spied on, their backgrounds and so forth. And I know you guys are in a good, stable place, but you have lots before you. I don't pretend to be the answer to any of your big issues, but I would really be interested in being a part of your team. We're a law firm of four. We do a substantial amount of legislative affairs in this state. Kyle, I can help you with legislative updates because I'm pretty intimate with how those things go, and you are just right. And on top of that, we have less students in the system, so there's more money in the system. And so we play in that realm quite a bit. We're on the Front Range. I'm in Colorado Springs. My partner's also in Colorado Springs. His name's Tim Farmer, so Miller Farmer. I'm older than him, so Miller's first. And then there's Bryce and Joshua, four of us. We really value being in relationship with our clients, and so we're very picky. So I know you've worked with a firm out of the Boulder area. They're great. They really are super incredibly great.
They are good.
I'm not going to. I can't even. I have nothing to say other than they're great. I love working with them, and oftentimes I work with them because I represent a fair number of charter schools. We helped open Pagosa Peak Open School in Pagosa Springs, of all places, and we've done a lot of work with charter schools. We also do a lot of work with school districts, but we only work with districts and schools that we feel like we can have a relationship with, that we can serve in a more intimate way. We want to know what each of your guys' interests are and what each of their interests are, what your stakeholders care about. And so we limit our representation. We're careful. We feel like we need to have a good fit. I feel like one of us needs to be available to be at your meetings when you need it. Doesn't need to be at every meeting, but we want to know you well enough and be, in person when we do consequential things with you. We, by the way, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot. I don't know how to go. My mother-in-law is a principal. My wife's a pastor. My brother-in-law is a politician. My daughter's a college cheerleader. I never get to talk. And so this is nice. I drove 7 hours to get here just to have my own space.
Carry on.
We like to help with creative things. So we're helping Ty Gray figure out his Rico problem. You know, he's got Dove Creek and then Rico's on the other side of Dolores, halfway to Telluride. Telluride takes all their kids but doesn't want them, you know, and it's a push-pull. We try to help people think of solutions on things like that. And we try to think of the unique needs of areas. We help Cree with 97 students K through 12 to figure out how to access homeschool and online opportunities for kids in their vicinity and how to bus from South Fork up without Del Norte being mad at them. And so we try to work on unique problems and be problem solvers. We're great at all the sort of normal legal work. We're more than competent. I think we're comparable to Kaplan and Ernest and all of those firms in that regard. But I think we're also specialists. And so you guys are someone who, after meeting with you, Sherry's continued to reach out kind of intermittently. We've just had a couple of conversations in the meantime, and I really like what you guys stand for, what this community represents in terms of opportunity with Mancus and Dolores and you in such proximity. We're talking about transportation, you know, how do we facilitate economies of scale across, you know, geographies. Those sorts of conversations I would love to have with you. I've been in the newspaper over the years because my brother-in-law is a prominent Republican, you know, a state Senate member. And so by association, as a person who's worked with charter schools and worked with school districts in certain instances, there's this sort of, you know, splash of, are they the conservative warriors? Are they doing something? And that's not who we are, frankly. We represent our clients, try to figure out what their needs are. Pagosa Peak Open School has a very different than conservative sort of outlook. And KIPP schools and Rocky Mountain Prep and DSST in Denver aren't conservative, and we represent those sorts of schools. So it's not, I don't want what you read to overgloss into that. We're not political. We like to serve our clients, and if our clients happen to have reformish types of things, we'll facilitate that. But we, before that, want to know what you are, who you are, what your community is like, and that's what we would like to help with. I don't demand, or we don't demand that we be exclusive. If Kaplan and Ernst serves you well in certain areas, we're not jealous of that. And I don't think they are either. We overlap them in multiple places. District 49, my biggest client, we work with Kaplan and Ernst and another firm, you know, and they do some HR and we do. Another firm does truancy and we do the rest. So we can work in that regard, however you guys like. Appreciate the opportunity. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Well, I know we've all received your letter of engagement.
Right.
We've read it over, and we had a pretty good conversation at our retreat, and which led to asking for that letter. I don't have any specific questions right now. I know that you have mentioned sometimes you would like to attend meetings, but not all of them. And it may not always be you, it may be one
I
of
want to
you.
be available to you. I don't mind driving. I was on the phone the whole time. I don't charge you to drive because what I do is a lot of just interaction with people. So it's not a added cost, but if I can be here for 2 hours, I'll charge you for 2 hours, and you know, and getting to know your needs sometimes is useful, right? If I know the backstory, it can help.
Perfect.
I love that part about it. I love
Yeah.
the fact that we could have someone here to
And
guide
counsel
us.
here once in a while.
Yeah,
We've needed it.
in the direction that we need to go, or the correct direction that we need to go.
The legal direction.
Yes.
So you did say that you like to do a lot of creative things. Do you have an area that you do prefer to focus on? Or do you like to be very general?
No, I'll just say this. We are absolutely in a time of change in education. The forces are just so compelling. We're losing teachers to other industry. We're having a bump in income coming up, but that's going to be reciprocated by something not like a bump in a couple of years. We've, the use of devices has changed the way kids learn, and by virtue of that, the way that we should be reaching them, which could look like, for example, I mean, this is just off the wall, but you could have your very best Calc AB teacher, who's the only resource in the whole valley, could be providing to Mancos and to even to Durango that service for it being online. And maybe there's a way to partner with other districts or partner with a local resource, the Indians or whomever, in ways that are just unique. I just like thinking about, how do you partner with people? How do you do things better? It's not about a certain kind of reform. It's just, how do we do this the best we can with the limited resources we have, and try to be transparent so our families understand what we're doing. I think that's a massively important thing in today's world. If you look at the social media world, you can't get away now with being secretive and working behind the scenes. You've got to do this as an open public entity. I can help facilitate that, where you can have healthy conversations about really hard things that have to happen. If we don't have transportation, are we going to charge for transportation? Are we going to quit giving transportation? What are we going to do? And we can work through that stuff.
Okay.
I helped Mancos, when Brian Hansen was still there, we got them a few waivers of statute, just like a charter school can get. And that just helped take away a little bit of administrative burden on some things. Wasn't a big deal, went to the state board, got it done. I think they're grateful for that, so it could be a whole scheme of just a variety of things.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? All right, well, thank you very much.
So I'm looking at, and do either of you guys fishermen?
Depends on I like to eat.
Ice.
Depends on the day. Depends on the
My
day.
associate Bryce said, if anyone there will teach me, will take me fly fishing, I will work for free on that day. So just.
I'm gonna get my husband to help you with that.
I don't do fly fishing, but I do like Paolo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, any more board requests or reports?
I did.
Fly fishing takes.
I attended a Zoom meeting today. It was called Rural Roundtable. Casby presented it. And they came up with some really good ideas. One of the things is, and it was a gentleman from Mancos that wants us to figure out how to communicate with boards about going to delegate assemblies. Do you guys understand that the rural school districts have more votes in Casby than urban does? We just have to get people there. And so we were doing some brainstorming on different ways to get the rural schools there to start doing it. Then we have to write our resolutions to fit our needs. There are some resources out there that will help us with grant writing if we need them, but we have a grant writer. Is that not correct? Oh, yes, we do. He's sitting right there.
And well, here's the this is the thing, because I was at a meeting last week and they were talking about the additional COVID resources available to rural schools. And this came up that's great and all, but rural schools don't have the capacity to deal with the money.
That's what came up
much less
today.
apply for more. That grant specific to what you're talking about is $3,000. That's not, it doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do anything.
So,
Okay.
and so we're discussing with business managers locally what maybe some other options are, how we can get around that, because exactly your point.
But and see, they didn't give me the amount,
Yeah.
so that's it. We can go to, and this is something that principals you might like, Rural Education Center. They have stipends there for teachers. So if they need some continuing ed monies and stuff, they said to go there, and there's a whole list of things for our teachers to have. So I would recommend that you share that with your staff. In March 30th and 31st, they're going to have a school finance, part 1 and 2, to help us understand finance. It's mostly for new members, but I find that we can always learn. And that was it on my roundtable today. The other thing I did yesterday, I went to the middle school and walked around. And then when I got home, I received a phone call from Tom Burris, and he asked if I would meet him at the high school because his daughter was wanting to meet the counselor and walk around. So I did. I've got to tell you, I told him at that point, I said, if you needed somebody to show your daughter around, you need to ask for Avery, because she is our student rep, and she's also an honors student. So while Avery was showing her around, Tom and I walked around the high school because he'd never seen it. So if you saw us wandering around, anybody out there, I was just showing him the school. It has no ulterior motives or anything. I hope that Ember shows up and we can do the same thing with her, because our high school is awesome. It's new, it's wonderful, and I think we should be proud of it. I have a question, and I don't know who to ask, but who does professional development? Who does the PDs? Does the school do it? Does the principals do it?
Well, it can vary. I mean, if we have district initiatives, at the district level, we, tailor our PD around that. But at our individual building levels, they have their own needs as well. So we have opportunities for that as well.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I think I've had a lot of questions about it on our calendar. So that's one of those things I don't know, I'll have to ask.
Yeah, well, like, for example, when we complete our review of these programs, obviously for K-5 teachers, there will be some PD that goes along with that. So as a district, we would facilitate that. Typically that happens at the beginning of the year before everybody gets into their classrooms, and so they can get involved with those materials. But throughout the year, various needs happen at different places, and something that you might need at Lewis might be different than what you need at MCHS. So principals have the ability to tailor that as well.
Okay, great. And then I just had one more thing out there, and we have 2 candidates for interim superintendent. We need to have interviews, and we need to set a time and a date. Other than that, I'm finished.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything? I would just like to, I don't want to announce this, but it's, we had our Boces meeting last week, and I believe Adria Bogle has talked with a lot of her staff and probably a lot of everybody else, but she will be resigning at the end of the year. But she will still be in the area. Sad to see her go. She's a rock star, and so we will be looking for a new executive director for Boces before too long. So there's that little bit of news. Just my main bit of information.
What's the requirements to be a Boces director? Is it somebody we're going to have to bring in or train?
Well, it could be either we will advertise for it, but then there's also some probably some internal people that will be applying.
That's kind of what I was asking. Thank you.
Typically, it's also a heavy special education background.
Okay.
Yeah. And we do need to set up some kind of an executive session to do some interviews, and Ember has stated that she would be glad to come down here.
I'm assuming you want to do that before March 1st.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a day that's best for the board?
Friday.
The 25th?
Sure.
Works for me.
Done.
Works for me.
And I don't know if, because I know Stacy had a question of if we had to wait 14 days before we could do the interviews.
In open meeting?
But I don't know.
Interviews need to just,
If there's only 2 finalists, it should be done in open meeting.
Oh, open,
not executive.
Oh, okay.
So the next question, we don't have to wait the 14 days to hold interviews, correct? We just have to wait the 14 days to announce.
This
You
is not formal
did
legal advice.
understand.
I have a disclaimer right here that said.
I would advise that you do it in open meeting because it looks like finalists. And
It
then
is,
you
yeah.
wait 14 days before you extend a contract.
Okay,
After the interview.
so we can have the interviews
Yeah,
before. the
because then you identify who a finalist is, and then people can do their Google searches and so forth. That's the purpose of the 14 days.
They've been announced. They've been announced.
We've
We just have not done
So you've
interviews.
actually identified them as finalists.
Uh-huh.
That's just 14 days from whenever that was.
Okay,
Oh, good.
But we can
So-
hold our interviews.
Yes.
and then announce it March
But now you
1st.
definitely have to do them in open.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect, okay.
Okay, so does Friday the 25th work, depending on what works with the finalists?
Do you want to reach, or yourself or myself to reach out to the candidates? Or Cynthia, somebody, and see if there's a day that works best for them and we can maybe accommodate them a little better?
Okay.
I think between the three of us, we can figure that out. Okay. Okay, and then we can just,
Is this a Friday you have off, Lane?
I'm leaving for a training, actually. I'm gonna be in Delta Thursday night and Friday. So I'll be back
about Monday.
6 or so. Friday.
Monday's the 28th.
Our meeting's the 1st, correct? Okay.
So if we did something Friday around 7, I'd be back by then.
So maybe
Monday, the 28th.
that's what I was thinking, the 28th.
Yeah.
I can't do the 28th. I've already committed myself to help with the Mesa Peak program on the 28th.
What about the weekend on Saturday, the 26th?
But you said you could do it Friday at 7?
No,
I said I could probably be back around at least by 6 or 7.
On Friday.
Friday.
Oh, okay.
But Saturday would be fine too. I'll be back.
I'm thinking Saturday would give them an
I have
opportunity to
to, I
drive over
have
the
to
weekend.
attend that funeral on Saturday.
Oh, okay. What time? I don't
It's at
know.
2.
At 2, so we could do an evening interview? I don't even know what funeral you're talking about.
Mike,
so-
Mike Marston.
Oh, okay, I did know that. I think it's. I don't
I'd
wanna-
like to go on Friday evening if I
So if we,
could.
even at, maybe Friday at 7, if we made it a little later,
Friday at 7.
7:30, or
Sharon's birthday.
Doesn't matter to me, I'll be tired, but I'll be here.
well, I'm thinking it's either gonna be Friday or Monday, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, Monday.
It's 14 calendar days, right?
Mhm.
Which we've already, we can still announce that on the first.
That's why we did, announced them when we did.
Can't do it on the 1st and then,
We could,
is that an option?
We
we
could
could do it on the 1st,
be hard.
but maybe if we had the meeting a little earlier, like at 5.
I can plan for it.
Interviews at 5 and announce it.
I'd rather be able to.
Yeah.
I would rather do it
Yeah.
ahead of time.
I would too. I just.
Can we
it would
look
be
at
cleaner.
Friday
It
at
would be
7?
cleaner.
Are you good with that, Lane?
I think I'll be done at 3 in Delta.
Okay. So if it doesn't snow, you're good.
Depends on the weather, of course, but
Yep, there used to be questions.
Would it be all right if I
That we
sent
could ask.
board members a small training video on conducting interviews?
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
And possibly put together a list of questions?
Oh, thank you.
Ask the
Yeah,
candidate?
that would be awesome. Perfect.
So then we're gonna shoot for Friday then?
Like me to attend
She's going to check and see if it's okay.
as the HR Human Resource Director to make sure that it's goes correctly.
Okay.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
And,
Please attend.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Stacy,
I would
do one.
prefer that she be there.
can we do one
Friday night and then one Saturday morning? Is that gonna be too much of a time crunch for you?
If we could do it earlier on Saturday morning, I have to.
I'd rather
attend
do
this.
both Friday.
We could
I'm
do,
just asking.
It's gonna be pretty late Friday night. We don't start till 7 or 7:30.
Yeah. Well, probably an hour. Would you say an hour per candidate?
Probably.
So will this be via Zoom?
Mr. Burst told me that he was willing to come down.
No, I meant,
Oh,
will it be?
YouTube,
I think it'll be in,
like we do our regular meeting. Is that what you're talking about?
well, if it has to be an
YouTube?
open meeting, I think that
We should project it out. Absolutely. We don't want people to think we're
I think
hiding.
it needs to be back to back if we're gonna do it like that.
Yes.
One at one time and the next one the next day. It needs to be held back to back. Following the other if they're available on Friday.
Or Saturday morning at 8.
okay.
I will reach out to them as soon as possible, so determine when their availability is and when they can be here for that.
Okay.
And we'll determine whether it's Friday evening or Saturday morning. And I will also send out the training video to all board members tomorrow, along with a generated list of questions.
Oh, thank you.
And then when she has a date, I'll build a special meeting agenda
Yes.
put out.
Okay. Okay. All right. Great, thank you for that. Lost my agenda, okay. Okay, citizens address the board. Do you have any? Okay, all right, Pete Montano.
Hi.
How are you?
It's good to see you guys. I've been on both sides of this, and now we talked about having to select a superintendent for that process. I've been on both sides, so this last time I was on with the community side, and in talking with the other members that were involved in that process, they wanted to know if there's any way the board would consider questions from the community side. Before, we received a set of questions that we asked each of the candidates, but there weren't any questions from the community per se. So would you consider incorporating one or two questions that come from the community members? And I don't know what they would be. It'd be, each group from the community has their own personality. So their own, whatever they are. But would you consider incorporating questions from the community when it comes to interviewing the superintendent? That's really the main thing I'd like to ask. Because I remember whenever I was on the board, we had to select a superintendent, we would formulate our questions, and those questions went to everyone, and then everyone did that. So it was very equal. But there wasn't anything as far as a question specifically from the community member committee. So just ask you to consider that. And we know those community members, whoever that is, because you guys choose them, can ask them for a couple questions that maybe they feel are pertinent, and maybe that would add to what you're already doing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would that give us enough time to have questions submitted to you?
He was indicating that a community member be here during the interview and provide.
And ask, you're wanting a committee member to be here and join us on the interview?
If that were the case.
Is that what you're saying?
What's that now?
You're asking to have a community member be a part of the interview team?
No. They'll have the community members that interview the applicants for superintendent, have them submit questions prior to the interview. They'd be incorporated on that list. There may be something in there that
Like that parent group and that's,
Right.
yeah, right.
So I guess I'm asking, are you asking this for the interim or for when we get ready to hire a?
No, whenever we get ready to hire, not for the interim.
Oh,
This is
No,
good.
that's- that's
Oh,
future.
thank you, thank you.
That's future.
Yeah.
I understand.
That makes so,
That's where I
that
thought
just
he was
made our
going.
life easier. Yeah.
Time to interview for superintendent for,
Right.
yeah, for our, the superintendent to incorporate questions from the community members.
I think
I'm
that,
over my time.
Now we're all on the same page.
thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not clear.
That is a great idea.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay.
And I really like to
Okay.
clarifying it.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, MB McAfee.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for that comment, Pete. You'll be hiring an interim superintendent, and it would seem to me that you would follow some due diligence in that process, just like you would follow due diligence in hiring the real permanent superintendent. So for a common frame of reference, due diligence means using the care and responsible actions that you would do to avoid harm to others. More simply, due diligence is doing your homework. It will be students, teachers, staff, parents, and the community who will be grading you on this assignment. Due diligence provides assurance and confidence that you're doing your job. It illustrates transparency, a value that I hear this board repeat over and over. Here's your opportunity to act on that value. Hiring the superintendent is one of the biggest jobs that a school board of directors does. The superintendent you hire assumes the day-to-day operations to achieve the goals that you lay out. I, along with others, would be listening for how you have done your due diligence when you discuss your choice, even for an interim superintendent. Here are some questions. Have you verified that each candidate has the actual degrees and actual experiences that they report? In any previous positions, what have their actions been that support communities of color and the LGBTQ community? Can they each pass a background check? If that's not part of your due diligence, it certainly should be. Do they understand and will they act on the many aspects of reporting child abuse? What is the record of their staying capacity? Both candidates of the interim candidate selection have worked for this district in the past. Do you know the real reasons that they left? What is their capacity for considering the truth from all sides? What are their past achievements and have they stood the test of time? I'm giving each of you a copy of these questions because they, along with many others, are important and they should be answered publicly before you hire an interim superintendent. Thanks so much. Well, I probably can't be gracious and graceful about this. It's not my middle name.
I wrote down all your questions and you're handing them out.
Okay, I just want to be sure that
That'd be fine.
I want to be sure that's that lady at the end, Deb. That's one.
Oh,
Thank you.
Look at the first one.
Carolyn Owen.
I'm scribbling fast.
Hello, most of you already know me. I wanted to talk to you tonight and Mr. Parr about the selection of the new elementary ELA curriculum. So the school district has selected 5 curriculums from which you get to choose. And in my opinion, of those 5, 3 need to be eliminated from consideration. I've looked over the curriculums a number of times, and I went to the meeting Mr. Parr had a few weeks ago. And at that meeting, I picked up some evaluation forms for each curriculum, which I had every intention of filling out and returning to Mr. Parr. But when I looked at the forms, I thought, I can't fill these out. Question number 1 asked if the curriculum is a state adopted textbook, and obviously they would be, or Mr. Parr would not have brought them for consideration. But question number 2 is what got me. It asked if the curriculum is aligned to current state standards or Common Core standards. And I thought, Common Core, I'm sure you all know, failed spectacularly. It was first introduced in 2009, and within 2 years, 45 states and territories, as well as the District of Columbia, had adopted Common Core. And within a relatively short period of time, at least half of those states had either completely eliminated it or revised Common Core. It didn't improve student performance at all. In fact, academic performance went down dramatically. And Common Core weakens local control of education. And right now, we need to have local control. Amplify, CKLA, is one of the choices, and it is straight out of the Common Core playbook. I think it needs to be eliminated from consideration. McGraw-Hill Wonders and the Houghton Mifflin curriculum, which is the last one that you received, are heavily focused on social emotional learning. The Wonders curriculum clearly states that SEL is one of the most important factors in predicting school success. The Harcourt-Mifflin curriculum features a diagram that places the words social and emotional learning in the middle of their circle. And it's not till you get to the outside part of the circle where you get parent and community involvement. In between the center and the outside circle, there are categories such as self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness. None of these curriculums emphasizes academics. Okay, it's all about self. How does a student feel about stuff? But academics is not emphasized at all. We need to teach our children how to think and how to learn, but not what to think. We need to get back to basic academics. In addition, the school board has resolved not to teach. Okay, sorry, I'm only halfway there.
You can send that to our emails.
I will do that.
Okay, Laura DeWitt.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I have 2 separate items I'd like to speak briefly about. First, I'd like to recognize the incredible work of our teaching staff, administrators, nurses, tribal education leaders, bus drivers, food service workers, maintenance staff, and more during this semester so far. Their clear-eyed dedication to the students is an example to all of us as we consider the way forward. You, the school board, has really big decisions to make. ESSER funds, school calendar, curriculum, hiring new leadership, and school consolidation, the ones I can think of. The quiet professional recommendations of our teaching, nursing, and administrative staff and tribal leaders can get lost in the noisy arguments. Instead, let's consider humbly listening to them as they have the training and expertise and experience to recommend solutions that will best serve our students. Second, I just had some questions that I respectfully asked the school board to answer as you discussed action item 11B, the Miller-Farmer law. Some of these Mr. Miller may have touched upon. So can you tell us who the school district's current legal counsel is? Who specifically recommended that you retain more than one lawyer, and how many were recommended that you retain? And when did you identify the need for further legal representation? How did you select Miller Farmer Law for consideration? Is this the only firm that you're considering? And what specific legal items would the school board expect the Miller Farmer Law firm to address that our current counsel cannot? And then lastly, what is the fee structure and how does it compare to our current counsel? And would retaining this firm increase administrative costs? So maybe these discussions were done at your board retreat. A lot of us who have just been following a lot of the decisions of the school board really would like to have more transparency in those discussions out in the open, because that would give us more confidence. The reasoning for making these decisions, and probably make the FOIA requests and things like that a little bit less as well. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you to all of the administration and staff for all that you're doing for us.
Thank you. All right, Lynette.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a minute, let my clock run out. I'm technology challenged.
I'm going to be simple tonight.
So there we go.
We've done some amazing things in just a short time. However, I'm still concerned about our middle school and its curriculum. We have presented over 500 signatures to kill Whitney Wisdom in its entirety and get rid of SEL. Our middle school is a perfect example of why SEL must go. It is written word for word out of the toolkit. It proudly is displayed in the principal's office and in our halls. It bleeds into their behavior and their disciplinary actions. Page 55 of the toolkit says identify and provide direct support to a significant percentage of students and the array of potentially powerful partners. I'm going to provide you with a list. Again, the parents, the children are not on this list. However, look at the list of the controlled government programs. In my research, I have found that these inflammatory icons are not just visual training tools, they are actually advertisements for our powerful partners. Unless it is a business class, they have no place in our schools. Taking down the inflammatory icons is in no way a violation of Title IX. However, leaving them up is not only damaging our children, but it is in fact violating multiple school policies, constitutional and human rights. It is also in violation of federal laws, including Title IX. Title IX is nothing more than a non-discrimination law, ensuring every child their basic constitutional and human right of equality, not equity. Nowhere in the law does it say if you are diverse, inclusive, acceptive, welcoming, or LGBTQ, that you have any more rights than another child does. All children have that right. All children have the rights to display and their accomplishments and cultural behaviors or cultural beliefs and images, not just one equitable group. Not one word in this says that if you're LGBTQ, equality, all of that, do you have more of a right to feel safe at school? All children have that right. Every child has the right to feel safe. I have also searched, but I cannot find one single word in Title IX that says it is the school's responsibility to teach and push premature sexuality. Our resolution says no CRT will be taught. That means no wisdom, diversity, inclusive, acceptance, or SEL. This way.
Thank you.
And with this grant comes more of this.
Okay, and our last one, Angela Saylor.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Sailor like Popeye, only something I was asked to come here today from the children at the Cortez Middle School Lunch Bunch group. I brought it to their attention. Some of them knew, some of them didn't, what was being discussed on the board. And some of them were very unaware that things were happening with their club. They kind of felt left out. So I collected a couple things that they said to me when they did find out what was going on. And these are from both middle school, high school, LGBTQ youth, straight youth. This is from everybody. Lunch Bunch is the one place I can be respected for who I am and who I want to be. Before this group, I felt insecure and scared of my gender and sexuality. I thought, why can't I just be normal? But when I found this group, I finally understood and felt secure and validated, like I fit in. This is a school group that they're talking about. It is our life and our decisions. People don't get to decide our gender, we get to decide our gender. I feel that middle school is when you're first figuring yourself out, as we all know. Having different resources to rely on and explore would be very helpful, and I wish that I had that opportunity in middle school. It is the only safe place for us kids, especially when there are kids yelling white power in the halls. This club is the only reason I come to school on that day. You are never too young to question you. You are allowed to figure out what is you. And this last one is a sixth grader. This group does not force anything on students. It is simply to provide an educated and safe space for anyone who is an ally or is in the LGBTQ community. Students are walking in and out of the space as the same person. The only thing that could change is the way that they could have a new understanding of who they are and who other people are. This provides compassion, empathy, and intellect that makes everyone a little safer and protected, no matter who you are. If you cannot respect people trying to be their authentic selves without being discriminated against and punished for doing so, please reconsider your opinion. Every human deserves acceptance and love, no matter what. And then before I leave, I just wanted to drop some statistics on you from the Trevor Project. I'll do that next time.
Thank you.
Any more citizens to address the board? Okay, looks like we're done with that. Okay, discussion items, policy KHC and KHCR, distribution/posting of promotional literature. I think this should probably be in our packets.
It is.
For you to just look over, just to have for the next meeting. For us to.
Has not been looked at since 2012.
Yeah.
And I think it's just something that we can look at, and so our principals have a little better understanding of where we want to be and what we want done. And maybe some verbiage needs to be changed to include just, I mean, life has changed since 2012, so.
Life has changed since 2020.
Life has changed since 2021, 22, 23.
Okay, yeah, so that's just something for you to have in your packets to be looking at, making any comments, suggestions, anything like that, so. Okay, action items. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
Second.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noyes,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the engagement letter from Miller Farmer Law as presented?
I make a motion. Letter from Miller Farmer Law.
I second.
Stacy, second, okay. Any discussion or?
Do you want to discuss a little bit what was talked about?
Yes, Ms.
Your choice.
Discussion?
First of all, I want to let people know that the retreat was a public meeting.
Yes.
It was posted and anyone could have been there if they chose to be there. It was a very transparent meeting. It was open to the public. We had principals there who presented and I thought they did a great job. The insurance people did a great presentation and Mr. Miller did a great presentation. And I there was nothing said there that the public couldn't hear or see or, it was an open meeting. It was advertised and it was a open meeting to anyone who wanted to be there. Because their pricing is comparable to what we have now.
Probably cheaper. Yeah.
And I too agree that I think it's always good to have more than one perspective of the law in any way, shape, or form, whether it's in the legal system like this. I mean, when my husband was in law enforcement, they always had lots of people there to help with any kind of understanding of how someone was charged or treated. I think that that's a great thing, and you only get charged if you use them. So we're not going to be using, we're going to be using those different law firms in different ways
On their expertise.
And yeah, it's not like we're not
It's
going
their
to use
Right,
the
yeah,
other
we're
law
not
firm.
ending our we're not ending anything with Kaplan and Ernest.
I mean,
They've served us well.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have a second opinion. I mean, we get second opinions on our health. So it's always good to have a second opinion on legal matters.
Is there like a recommended number of attorneys to typically have on a retainer?
I can speak to it a little bit, and so it kind of depends on the size of your district. Larger districts have whole departments just for this, and they hire their own legal counsel. Because we're a smaller rural district, and even if we were a little bigger, it's really up to you. If you found one firm that could fit all of your needs, that's the board's kind of decision to do that. But to your point, it's kind of like a doctor. You don't want a heart surgeon to do brain surgery. So if someone specializes in civil law or labor law, and you go to someone that's a family lawyer, right? You're not getting what you need to out of it. So I think it's appropriate to have the legal counsel that you feel you need. And it sounds like you guys have done that. And again, to your point, it's comparable or less than what the rates are for our current one legal counsel.
A big part of this for me is, the other company is out in Boulder. And I've only had one phone call deal with them. With you, we've already met you before. You say you're going to be far more personable and far more present, and you serve typical rural communities, which I think is a really big big pro to me. So that's kind of, it's kind of a lot of where I'm thinking as far as there's going to be a lot of value to looking at other firms as well, having you come in and take a look at what you can do for us. So.
Yeah. I would agree with you, Cody.
I agree.
That noise. Today is the first day that we started with our new policy of posting the work packets. And this letter is posted right now on our website in our work packet.
Okay, so everybody should be able to go on there and read up on it. Okay.
Anything you want to say, or can you even say anything? He looks like he wants to say something.
I want to say thank you for the comments. You don't need to use me. There's no expectation, there's no minimum. You can fire us at any time. Same as your.
There is no contract.
It's an engagement letter, the same thing that Kaplan would have. It's your choice. To a question that one constituent had, I think what we do that is unique probably has to do with our ability to assist in a rapid turnaround. We're quickly responsive, and we probably, our strongest expertise is in governance and policy adoption and things of that nature. So that's where we might be of the most help as compared with anyone else.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, anybody else?
I didn't catch who made the second on the motion.
It was Cody.
I think I motioned.
Cody motion, Stacy Hall.
She doesn't even know what she's doing right now.
I thought it was.
So if we know further discussion, if you can call for the question, Deborah.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall. Aye. Hart. Aye. Noise.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
All right. Welcome to the district.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep. Look forward to meeting the rest of your team at some point.
My team's all far younger and smarter and better than me, so you're not gonna.
Thank you, and thank you for attending tonight as well.
Yes.
Okay, action item C, the MOU for Grand Canyon University.
I make a motion to accept this MOU.
I second.
Okay. I don't know if anybody has any discussion on this. I think we've all read the MOU. And
I
pretty much
think
agree
this
with
is
it.
a
Think it's a
great
Yeah, it's a
thing.
good
I hope we get
opportunity.
to do more of them. I really, I mean, I would love to start we're sending a tremendous amount of students down to Grand Canyon
Oh, yeah.
University.
Uh-huh.
Aren't we, Mr. Chandler?
Yeah.
To Grand Canyon University, we're sending, a lot of kids are choosing to go down there.
They are.
Not as much anymore.
No, okay. Yeah, I'd love to see us.
I think it's still pretty popular.
Yeah.
So
And I think that this is a great, I mean, on a personal note, this is a great opportunity for the director of nurses to engage in this.
All right. Deb, if you can call for the question.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Noise.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay, action item D, Southwest Open School Charter Renewal. Your motion?
I make a motion to accept charter renewal.
Second.
Is that you, Cody? Oh, yeah, sorry.
You can, I'm like.
Yeah, I just like you're throwing your voice. Okay.
So teacher voices.
Okay.
These are tired.
Unless anybody has any questions, I think we can just proceed with the, yeah, you just want to call for that, Deborah?
Was Rice the second?
Yep.
Yes.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Noise.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, action item E, the Cortez FFA field trip. So
we had no presentation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is probably for national convention.
Yeah,
Is there a timeline that we have to have?
Yeah.
The policy is 7 months in advance. I don't remember what the total policy is, which is why I brought it up.
That was 6
I'm
months, I
looking
think,
at,
but
yeah, 6 or 7
that's
months.
Wanted to make sure we don't miss that up there.
The National Convention next fall, I don't know exactly.
Yeah, and they normally go each year, correct?
Right, but because it's so far, it has to be bought before the. board.
Right.
It's an out-of-state trip.
Yeah, so I don't see any reason why we shouldn't, even without the presentation.
I'm fine with putting it in. I mean, it's been done.
Yeah, for years.
For years, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm okay with, voting on this action item.
We have a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the Cortez FFA field trip for travel.
Okay. That motion, do I hear a second?
Second. That's me dead.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was like.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Noise.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
I,
Okay, action item F, the MCHS Ski and Snowboard Club Agreement.
I make a motion that we have a ski and snowboard club.
I'll second.
Okay, well, since we've already had that presentation,
I think he did a great job, and it's a new opportunity for our kids. If we can keep them engaged, then they will stay.
Yep.
I even had some snow.
Well, snow would be nice.
The sooner they have this,
It would
okay,
be,
then.
it would be nice, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Deborah.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Noise.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay, popular action item G, the 2022-23 school calendar.
I make a motion that we accept option B, 4-day week, 147 days. I believe that's option B.
I second.
Second.
Okay, the motion by Sherry Wright, seconded by Cody Wells.
Can you repeat your motion?
I believe it's option B for the 147-day, 4-day week.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
I don't have the calendar in front of me. but-
Thank you.
And with that being said, that would be the gist of the calendar with some slight modifications as far as, go ahead. Yep, go right ahead.
I recommend something because I was discussing with Jim and Cindy earlier, and I know there's been some recommendations or suggestions from the board. So what we would like to recommend is approving the calendar that you choose tonight, knowing that there are probably some things that you would like to see changed as a board. What we recommend is during the work session, you guys kind of brainstorm together, bring those to the work session and say, these are the changes as a board we'd like to see. And then we could revise the approved calendar at the March date.
I like that.
Has there been anything looked at as far as hours per day yet? 147 day?
Yes, we have hours a day now. We get to start looking, once this is done, at start and end times.
Okay.
We know what our required hours a day are, but now it's, how does that work into a one bus route in Cortez? So that's the next step.
Well, I believe from the report that you gave me, the 147 4-day week was the one that the community and the staff liked.
Correct. One more thing, I need to mention this, that needs to probably be an action item on the March agenda as well, is this is conditioned on waiving that policy.
Yep.
The IT.
ICA, I believe.
Right, ICA. So I think it'd probably be advantageous just to get that done in March.
Okay.
So that we know everything's good.
That's the passing period. Right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then we still need approval, don't we?
So then the next step is
Waiver from the CDB.
is working with the state to get all the waivers for under 147. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Parts, it is an approval, but it's more or less, we submit, they let us know what to change, and then we fix it. It's not it wouldn't come back and be like, the state's not gonna let you do this. It's us to make sure that we get all the demands.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, and the reality is right now in the state of Colorado, there are more school districts that have 4 days than there are 5.
160. I learned that today.
Yeah. And I think that we need to address some of these concerns on these,
Right.
Yeah.
just to let people know that, some of them, I think that when they were looking at this calendar, they were looking at these Fridays and they were a little confused that the students would be going to school on those days. And they need to understand that those are teacher PD days, work days for teachers, and their half days. The other one that went along that line is there were several comments on the staff side that they were concerned that they weren't considered in the planning of this calendar. And that and I don't know, because I couldn't answer that. I didn't know who put these together. But there were several of them that were more willing to have one full Friday instead of 2 half-day Fridays. So that was just.
Well, again, I mean, these are more details that we can kind of flesh out.
In March.
Once we have the calendar approved.
Okay. The one I really wanted to address was the Fridays, that there are no school on those Fridays. That those are staff
And a couple
days.
things just to keep in mind is that the PD, so two things. Going below 160 requires the district to meet some non-negotiables from the state. So although the input's good, it's no longer a democratic process. We have to meet demands to go under 160. So that's why we value the input and feedback, but it's our job at administration to make sure we're meeting the requirements to get under 160. So again, I know that there was a lot of that in there, but it's kind of, and I don't want to make this sound bad, but they're looking at it a lens from a school building when that's great and we need that input, but we're looking at trying to pass it for the district and we have people above us that are requiring us to do things.
Right.
And then on the PD, I know that there was lots of responses back on whether it should be 2 half days or 1 full day. And you again understand, we got the feedback from the people that are going to be implementing that PD and how do they best see that PD working in their experience. So we got the input from the building administrators and said, okay, based on these 2 different variations of how PD works, what's going to work best with us potentially adopting a K through 12 assessment training process, or how's it better to look at data? Is it better to see it once a month or every 2 weeks, and how can you adapt? And the overall consensus of that meeting was to have the 2 half days. So that's how that came. I understand that there are probably teachers that feel differently, but again, we're looking at the big picture and trying to make this happen.
Right.
So are those numbers, Kyle, like those numbers for PD days and stuff, is that like a black and white number type thing that we know already? Or when you submit that application, they're going to come back and say, you don't have enough PD days on here or what? Or PD hours?
Well, the state doesn't really look at that per se. I mean, they want to make sure that we're meeting our minimum seat time hours, which is, 1,080 at secondary levels and 990 hours at elementary. In fact, they even provide an allowance within those hours for professional development or in-service type days of 24 hours. So technically, as long as we're meeting those times, those are the things that the state is keying on most folk. That's where their most focus is given to.
And when you brought up those hours too, and this is something from when I was in high school, I guess, Mr. Chandler, you're going to chime in on this some. It was brought to my attention by a community member this week that we have not met our hours for the last 11 years. So how can that happen?
I don't know where that.
I thought that was all
comes from.
I haven't heard.
We don't really have a choice. I mean, we have, calculated out those hours at various times. I mean, every time we do a calendar, we have to calculate the hours. So
that's what I was.
It's not.
When I was at the high school that we did too. I thought.
Yeah, it's not something that we ignore on an annual basis. I mean, we pay close attention, and in fact, I mean, it's a process that requires multiple people and a fair amount of time just to make sure that we're covering everything that we have. I mean, it's, if we were to slip under that, then the state would certainly be in our backyard saying, hey.
Well, that's what I would think too.
Yeah.
And I'll give this to you.
Yeah.
There's a community member that called me last week and shared that with me, so.
There's the elephant in the room. What about our transportation, our drivers, our cooks, our paras? We've got to make sure we take care of them. Custodials.
Well, and I think part of the benefit of like approving the calendar now is that then Kyle could start to work on salary schedules and how that is adjusted for this particular calendar. Kyle, I don't want to step on your toes or anything, but it's not anybody's intention to take anything away from anybody.
No, but that is the perception.
Right.
And I want to alleviate that now. We are not going to harm our personnel.
I mean, no, not at all. The intention is to nail this down so then I can truly adjust and come back and say, we can raise our salaries to this point and feel confident in going into the next year. There's some cleanup that we have.
Right.
There's
There always
definitely
is.
some things that I think have just kind of been, that's the way we do it and not really thoughtfully thought out on, is this the best interest of the district and education? But we're not looking to go out and decrease anyone's salary or take their hours away intentionally or anything.
Well, I knew that,
for alternative.
but I'm hearing this perception in the community.
Exactly, and it's change, right? It's change. It's just the sooner.
Change isn't easy.
Right, and again, we're in a good place right now to start getting this information put together, because normally we're looking at contracts way later than we should be. And if we can get this nailed down, we're probably in a much better situation than we have in a lot of past years, with good news to go into the next year.
Thank you. Love that.
One district I talked to that was pretty similar in the situation and stuff too. And they said and I don't know all the details, but they worked in with their bus drivers to where they were using their bus drivers during the day in buildings doing sort of para-type things or whatever it might be. I'm not sure.
We have some that are currently doing.
And that would be, and they always have opportunities for activity buses too, and stuff like that. So definitely if, going with one route and stuff too, it's what their hours.
It's going to affect everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, and
for
I
those that
think-
want to have extra hours and stuff, I think we can at least find something to accommodate them at home.
And I think that the perception is, when we went to the 4-day week many years ago, we did that because we were financially in trouble in this district.
We were.
And that was a way that we saw to help our district get back out of that financial problem. And I think that people are thinking that that's what we're doing, and we're not. We're looking at the 4-day week, as to what is better for our district now.
Yeah.
We have that
Our staff
ability to do
students,
that instead of being forced to do something that we don't want to do.
Well, and the reality was, for those of us that were here during the initial 4-day, I wasn't going to say that.
It's okay.
I am. But there wasn't a cost savings, not a significant.
No, there was not. No,
there was not. I was on the board then, and there was
That shouldn't
not.
be the illusion that anybody entering this particular action, because we're not looking to save costs. We're trying to maintain our staffing and provide.
Trying to benefit.
So yeah, it's not about the meager cost savings that we thought we were going to get that first time around.
Yeah.
And there's one other aspect of the support personnel as well, is there's several individuals that have requested to continue working 5/8 to be able to provide coverage, custodial staff, maintenance, working on a Friday when there isn't students in.
That'd help them a lot.
Exactly.
Friday school.
And then those, or we could alternate Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday for some to work 4/10s. But this gives us a much better opportunity to look at those schedules and those departments and develop a true, a real true contract or notice of assignment, and
increased salaries that's with those hours and adjusted schedules.
And just to reassure again, I mean, even when we presented the audit, Lori's main concern was self-insurance and everything else was good. She in fact said, hey, you're carrying more money than you should. So this going to a 4-day is not looking to say, we're trying not to carry so much money and put the money back into where it needs to go.
Right.
And then the self-insurance, Ms. Aldridge here has kind of got us on track to really identify how we can fix that. So I think on that sense, again, to your point, this has nothing to do with saving money.
Right.
This is trying to be more efficient and provide a better education.
Help our staff out too. Okay.
Madam Chairman, we can amend the main motion by inserting the word to make a commitment for 3 years on this. You need a second.
I second it.
I feel like the community really needs to know that we are committed to doing this and that it's not going to be something we're going to turn around next year.
Turn around
and
next
say,
year and say, oh.
oh, no, we're going to go back to this or do this or that. And,
We would just probably need to revise because things will probably fall on different dates, but.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, to commit to the 4-day week, that's it. The calendar can vary. That's gonna vary. But I really feel like the community needs to know that we are looking at this and not just, something that we're doing to save money for 3 months of the year. And then we're gonna go back to a 5-day week now.
Absolutely. I like that.
I don't like the 5-day week, I'll let everybody know, but to retain teachers, I will go with 4-day, and I bet most of these 10 people that voted for 5-day are special teachers. It impacts specials tremendously. And I'm a PE teacher, so how many times does your kids have PE? One time a month now.
Because we're getting ready for the.
But let's say a normal week. Do they even have it once a week now? Since it's
Twice a week. Ours is on a rotation, so we have a full week.
every 3 weeks, so then they're missing 2 weeks.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't-
that I would.
Like that, as a teacher. That's just me, but I'm all about, training teachers, and I will also admit that right now we're going through this same thing in my district, and I voted for a 5-day week. So I'm not gonna say one thing and then think another. That's my thoughts on it. I want to retain teachers. I want to keep them here. But I can't help but think of those people that it's going to impact. And so.
And I agree with you. I mean, I have grandkids who are at Kemper where they're getting PE by 4 days and then.
And I don't mean to say just PE. I mean PE, got music, art, library, whatever's in that rotation. I don't mean to just pick out PE just because, but that's who I am.
And it is tough. I mean, my grandkids live in a household where on those 2 weeks when they're not getting PE or they're not getting art, their mom and dad are making them come home from school and they have to run around the circle and that's a mile, or they get to do art at home. But not all kids are getting that. So that is definitely a downfall for those. And I would hope that we could maybe make something change for that.
Think outside the box and find a fix.
Yeah. So,
If I could say something, I would even argue on a 5-day week, they're not getting enough. We've had elected teachers in this district at the elementary level.
That's true.
Historically because of the negative factor. And so I'm supporting what you're saying, but in a building like mine, who just now this year has an elective full-time position for the first time, let's start funding and looking at how do we get more electives in there and get a PE teacher in. I agree. And a licensed art teacher instead of having to do a rotation, because the research is very clear that those specials are very important to kids' development.
They are.
Very, very important.
Yeah, you're meeting every kid's different. What makes them different?
Right.
They might want art. They might like music.
Right.
Or
But
they might
again, my point, even on a 5-day week, it's a rotation and they're not getting.
Well, I'll tell you, if my school goes 4-day, I'm missing every single class 25 times per year. 25 times to you might not seem like a lot. For me, that's a ton. That's a ton. And that's every single class in that building 25 times cut from my curriculum. It's sad. I hope it doesn't happen. That's why I voted 5 for my district. So I'm just talking from experience, and on my side, I can't help but do that. So, but I want to retain teachers. I want teachers to stay here and want to work here. And I think this is a great place for teachers and my kids too. So.
And I think if we get a set schedule, and then we don't have to revisit it every year and discuss it for several months and use some time, that we can be focusing on how do we get more people in, where can we move things around, get more planning time, more,
Right.
specials, more things in our district. We can start focusing on things that we can start seeing a difference somewhere.
And that's exactly why I think it needs commitment, is that way hopefully people will start thinking outside the box and getting those things.
And if we can get
To where
something
they
on
can-
Fridays, like we're planning, that we can help support some of those other families. And some of the teachers that may want those extra hours,
And not just in the school, but in the community too, community-wide. They know that. So.
And I will add a couple of other districts in our Boces group. They are also looking at 4 days. So some of the last ones that we are still looking at that. So, okay, do we have any other discussion on that? Any other comments?
Do we have a second on the amended?
I did.
It was, yeah.
I made your original agreement to.
I seconded his amendment.
Okay, so you're amending your original or?
No.
No, I amended the main motion.
Did it.
And then you.
So we have to vote on the amendment now.
Now we have to vote on the amendment first.
Do I hear, okay.
We're voting on the amendment just to insert the word to the 3-year commitment first.
I don't want a 3-year commitment, so. If we don't like it, then we're stuck. That's my thing.
How do our directors feel on that? I mean, is it going to be kind of hard locking ourselves into that, or is it a much more of a benefit? Do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I think anytime we can have something consistent for several years, we stand a better chance of making it more efficient. I can say from working on committees for calendars over the X number of years that I have that while it's a great interaction, it usually is a pretty futile experience in that I wouldn't say we can't come to agreement, but at the same time, and this is different every year because conditions were different, but ultimately we wound up back in the same place we started.
We've done that here because we couldn't agree.
Would it be maybe a better option is just for 2 years? I know a lot of schools.
I like 3.
Okay.
I like
No, and
3.
I'm good with 3. I just didn't know if. that was
I think
something
that the more consistent we can be and letting the community know that this is the way it's going to be for 3 years, then we're ahead. I also understand what Lane is saying, that we're locking ourselves in, but I think that we need to be consistent for a while. We've just done so much change in the last 4 or 5 years. It's time to just calm down and be consistent.
I have to say that I'm a 5-day person. So I am totally, there's too much indecisiveness that's going on. And I will vote no to the amendment, and I will vote no to the schedule that you're voting on.
Okay, are we ready to call for the question on the amendment?
Frazier,
No.
Hall,
Yes.
Hart,
No.
Noyce,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're all friends still, right?
Yeah,
we always are. Yeah.
I highly respect you for your beliefs. I just think it's awesome.
I 100% respect.
Yeah.
That's how a board works.
Now you got to vote on the main motion as amended.
Yeah, so, so the main motion as amended, Deborah, you just need to call for that question.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
No.
Noyes,
Aye.
Bryce,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Thank you.
All righty. Okay, you know what? Congratulations, everybody. We have a set calendar. You guys can get on with what you need to move forward with, and we don't have to revisit this next year. We just have to, yeah.
We could take a.
So I feel like, oh, do we need to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's see people. Okay, let's take that clock's wrong.
No, it's right.
No, it's right. Oh, it's right. Oh, it's still early. Okay.
Yeah.
Take a small break, 10 minutes.
Can I give the girls varsity one? Stepping on by Jillian, they played great. Boys varsity, I think lost by 6.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was
Probably a good game.
So, yeah, so there's an update on our.
Okay.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki.
whiz through this.
Jump back.
Missing a member.
Jump back into.
Well, he's always talking. Let's go.
I unpaused.
Oh, okay, no, okay, we're good. We're good.
Everyone behave.
Still missing Ed.
He's getting a cookie.
There we go.
Okay, so let me see, where am I?
Capital reserve.
Okay, capital reserve request, action item H. Kyle.
Do you want me to, you guys need to make a motion or do you want me to kind of explain first?
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve, action item H, I, PB and Manon Mechanical and Engineering Analysis for $15,000?
I make a motion that we approve.
I second.
Okay, Kyle, if you want to.
So, what this is step 2 in the PV analysis. So as they mentioned earlier, we had a structural engineer go out and give us assessment of Pleasant View. He gave kind of a report on that, but his overall assessment is if you truly want to know the safety and what the shape of the building is engineer wise, we need to have a mechanical engineer come out and analyze that building. And with that, what he wanted to do as well was take a look at Manon, the same capacity as far as electric and stability and some other things of that nature. If we choose that we're going to have to go forward and put some money into that, we can't do the HVAC or we can't do any of these other things until that grid or anything of that stuff's been evaluated. So he's going to come down and do both of them. The actual quote is $12,300, but there is some wiggle room because it's a matter of after he does the evaluation, what assessment information are we trying to gather? So he can either give us like a basic report or if we want to pay a little more, he can give us some more information to go to the next step to give it to the engineer to go straight to RFP. So I just wanted to cushion that in case it came that way. That's why.
Thank you.
You have.
I do. Oh, I've got it.
Yep, you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Montezuma-Cortez School District RE1 2122 capital reserve request for the school board. Date of request 2/22/22. Funds available $980,808.30. Coming out of account 430-800-00-4000-0800. .080. Amount requested $15,000 for mechanical and engineering analysis for PV and Manon, identified by the needs assessment, health and safety, technology, multiple bids provided, business office confirmation confirms funds are available, no permits required. Project coordinator with maintenance and IT department. Approved by Kyle Archibek, Executive Director of Finance.
Frazier.
Aye.
Hall.
Aye.
Hart.
Aye.
Noyes.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Wells.
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve capital reserve request, MCHS chair mats for $6,300?
I make a motion that we approve MCHS chair mats for $6,300.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay.
All right, so this request came from the high school. In order to meet some needs, we have a room there that's used as a multi-purpose athletic room, which houses the gym and houses the wrestling team. It came to our attention that the one set of mats is being used for both. So to make it easier for them to practice or be able to maybe use it at the same time to work in between, the high school asked if we could purchase mats for the cheer team. I don't think they've ever had mats purchased for them. So this is something we kind of wanted to do so that, and it's really because wrestling mats aren't the perfect surface for cheering practice and vice versa. So it's just kind of making sure we're not.
Are these the mats that they will take out, like when they do routines at halftime? Basketball?
I'm not sure if they would bring them
It would
out.
be this, because I do know that they take them out,
Okay.
because
Yeah, it was brought to me more of a practice thing, but you obviously probably know more about that than I do.
Yeah, and the last time the mats were purchased for them was 25 years ago.
I was gonna say 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely a need for those girls.
Is this gonna fix like some location issue? Like, are they gonna be able, or are they?
I think it just makes it so if there becomes a scheduling issue, it doesn't become an issue of one person gets to practice and one person doesn't. It's like,
They still.
it kind of just, it fixes some issues on the language piece of if that room is a multi-purpose room or if it belongs to a specific sport in which it doesn't. And so this will just kind of say, hey.
Yeah, we use that room for everything.
Keeps us away from legal issues.
Good, I like that.
I mean, when that building was built, that room was built as a multi-purpose room.
Yep.
That was why we were able to build that area when we did, because it was for classroom multi-purposes.
Right.
With the intent that that would be where the wrestlers would practice. The cheer program, I think, has just grown exponentially, and they just needed a safe place
And
to
I know,
practice.
I know that when they had a dance team, the dance team used it.
And right now they have a fall squad and a spring squad. The fall squad participates and they practice to go to state. And then the spring squad does specifically just cheers for sports. So like I said, it's grown.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. Can somebody please read that request?
Capital reserve request to the school board dated 2/22/22, funds available $980,808.30. Coming out of account 430-800-00 4,000-0800.80. In the amount of $6,300. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
Project description for MCHS cheer mats, identified by a need assessment, health and safety, multiple bids provided. The business office confirmation funds are available, no permits required. Approved by Kyle J. Archibald, Executive Director of Finance. 2/15/22.
All right.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Price,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on to the supplemental budget requests.
there's one more
Oh.
capital reserve.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Do I hear a motion to approve the Mason Minot team as asbestos abatement in the $8,841?
I'll motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'm second.
Who seconded?
I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Cody, motion.
Cody seconded everything.
Yeah. Jerry seconded.
Again, this is, and Ray, Mr. Lopez touched on this earlier. This is something we need to get done now that we have the flooring set. This is stuff to get done before that can start. We had bids range from here to almost $200,000. So it's just, it was quite the difference, but we found someone that's done some work for us before. So again, Ray explained kind of what the situation.
And we're confident with them, because I know you don't always want to go on the lowest.
No. Yeah, and so
It's gotta be good
me and
quality.
Ray really talked about this. Essentially, the only difference between this person and the other two is Ray was talking about after they're done, they have to like get the air cleaned or get it tested to make sure it's okay. This company brings in a third party to do it, and it's it's cheaper, right? And that's why it was weird, but they bring a certified third party that just specializes in to do that part of it. And so they were able, I think, save costs in that sense.
Wow, good.
Okay.
Okay, for Montezuma-Cortez School District RE1, 2021, 2022 capital reserve request to the school board dated 2/22/22, funds available $908,808.30, coming out of account number 430-800-00-4000. 0800 ... 80. Amount requested $78,841 for asbestos abatement at CMS, Mesa and Mana, identified by a needs assessment, health and safety, multiple bids provided, business office confirmation funds are available, project coordinated with maintenance and IT department, approved by Kyle J. Archibek, Executive Director of Finance, on 2/17/22.
Frazier,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Okay, moving on, action item I for the supplemental budget request. One is Title I, Part A for $1,085. Do I hear a motion?
We wrap them in one.
Oh,
I was gonna say that absolutely, and then I'll give you some reasoning behind why you're seeing these. So in January, I provided a final budget to you, and that includes grants and everything. And these particular title funds were budgeted in June of last year. And so there was a little bit of change in how much we actually got compared to what we thought we were gonna get in June. And we had a different grants department, and they kind of did some things differently. So all this is doing is saying, look, we didn't budget an additional $1,085 that we have for Title I, and I can't spend that until you approve it. So we're just making sure that we're approving the whole amounts for these title programs, as opposed to what we thought the projected was going to be. I meant to bring this to you in the final budget in January, and it would have been a piece of that. But because I didn't, and it's February now, I have to do it in the supplemental budget request.
okay.
So I make a motion that we approve the supplemental budget for our title funds,
Are you saying 1 through?
1 through 4, all of our title funds.
Okay,
I second.
okay. Okay. Do we have a request to make?
Oh,
Where are you gonna spend all that $59?
Yeah.
They spend
Just-
$12 on that.
It's just this part.
Careful, you might start telling you.
So for Title I, grant summary provides the financial assistance to local education agencies, LEAs, and schools with high numbers of high percentages of children with low-income families to help ensure that all children meet challenging state academic standards in the amount of $1,085. In Title I, well, that's the same one, right?
Yeah.
Then Title II, providing funds to increase the student achievement consistent with the changing state academic standards, providing the quality of effectiveness of teachers, principals, and other student leaders, increase the number of teachers, principals, and other school leaders who are affected in improving student academic achievement in schools, and provide low-income and minority students greater access to effective teachers, principals, and other student leaders in the amount of $1,276. Title III, to help ensure that English learners, including immigrant children and youth, attain English proficiency and develop high levels of academic achievement, and assist teachers including preschool teachers, administrators, and other school leaders in developing the enriching their capacity to improve effective instructional programs in the amount of $1,000. Title 4, providing funds to improve student academic achievement by increasing school district capacities to provide all students with access to a well-rounded education, improving school conditions for students' learning, and increasing the use of technology to enrich the academic achievement and digital learning of all students in the amount of $59.
Okay.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
I,
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Action item J, policy revisions for first reading. We have A, which is KDBE, public request for open records form. So this is the form that Deborah had put together to make it a little easier for, since all the core requests we were getting, so that they would have a form to fill out and submit. So it's come in pretty handy so far, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So this will be for the first reading. So. Do I hear a motion to?
I make a motion that we accept the public request for open records form.
I second it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything on this?
Thank you
Comments or
for your work.
I did have one comment.
Okay.
Before second reading, I don't know where, but I think that we could add one line that says you're only allowed to request one item at a time. One of the problems we've been facing is multiple, up to 20 today, requests on one sheet.
Oh.
So when we said there was 16, there's 16 times 3, 16 times 2, 16 requests.
Oh, I agree. Then
Okay,
we
and
need
then
to
that would
say
give
it's
us
one request per
And they can
form.
still put in 16 requests.
Yeah.
At least we can deal with them one at a time.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where I'd put that in there, but I would find a spot before your second reading.
Yeah. Yeah. If you want to go ahead and put a spot in there for that, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. No, I don't see how I could do 20 on one request.
We just attach pages to it. Let's say, please see attached list of requests, and then the attachment has 20, up to 20.
Either that or they'd be very vague, which I think that would also help them rein in their questioning. What
Is that a requirement that that first hour is no charge?
It's our board policy.
Yeah, and I think it's a requirement. I think the city has the same.
It follows Cora.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
a
would that
core
be separate for
policy.
each one of these? So each one that you would get if you don't spend it.
Have 1 hour free, and then get it, whereas before when they're all on together.
So that would be a reason to consider to not add that.
But I mean, I think it makes sense to do it still. I would definitely make them, or I wouldn't make them, but I think if the option is to have them do one per request, it makes it's easier for tracking. And then if there's another request for the same thing, we already have it. It's just.
Yeah.
Instead of.
I think it would make it easier for you.
Together, instead of
Yeah.
waiting.
And I'm hoping this calms down, but we're just in the spotlight.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping.
I can report to you that there's been a lot of appreciation shown for the professionalism of how fast everyone's got everything
Oh,
back.
you guys have amazing.
You have done an amazing job. I have got many
Thank you
phone
for coming
calls
back to
telling me
work.
thank you.
Thank you for, continuing to come in to find out how many more you have in your email. Okay. Okay, do you want to call for the question?
Frazier,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
I'm sorry, Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Actually, I'm K, policy revisions for the second reading. Unless anybody has any changes or concerns, or I guess call for the question first. I was just gonna say we can probably
Need to make a motion first.
do them all at once though.
Oh,
Yep.
AC is the only one that's been changed since she's seen it at the work session.
is it in red? Yes, I see it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
It was just at the end.
Well, there is one that is red in here.
I make a motion that we accept policy revisions for second reading. AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, ACE, 1, non-discriminational, equal opportunity, ACR 1, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, ACE, non-discrimination on the basis of disability, ACE 1, non-discrimination on the basis of the disability, ACE 2, non-discrimination on the basis of disability, ACR, non-discrimination on the basis of disability, CCA, organizational chart, IMB, teaching about controversial sensitive subjects and use of controversial materials, IMBR, teaching about controversial sensitive issues and use of controversial materials, EBCE, school closing and cancellations, GDOE, support staff evaluation. Whew.
So motion by Sherry Wright. Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Second by Jeanette Hart. All righty, yeah, let's call for that question and get some of these off our agenda for.
Serious.
I'd like to make one statement before we call for the question. For you in the back, we read through these really quickly, but they are on our website.
Yes.
So feel free to go in and read them, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Frazier,
Aye.
Hall,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Noise,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Wells,
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Anything else to bring before the board?
What about work session? Does anybody have anything for that?
Yeah, I'd be thinking, if you have anything for the work session, just get that to Deborah.
I just have that one policy.
Okay.
What was it?
CC.
KHC.
AFC, yeah.
AHC and KHC.
Okay. I'm gonna adjourn this meeting at 9:14.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.